conspiracy theorists. Stop giving them ideas. Stop. Like, I mean, I guess I'm talking to myself here because I'm a conspiracy theorist too. The problem is I'm all out of theories. All my theories have come true over the last 2 years, and so now I'm sitting here going like, where are they getting this shit? It's not for me. I'm not that creative, but really, it's what we're predicting comes true. And I never thought I would say this, but I'm tired of saying I told you so. We're going to be catching up on the news tonight. We had a fun story from G.I. Mary Jane. We are going to be taking calls and watching your messages, and G.I. Mary Jane is checking your comments live wherever you may be watching. We've got a new Man on the Street video. We're going to do a breakdown on American Educates Brits on Revolution. In case you're wondering, I'm that American. And before, I guess, I actually have an opening monologue of substance here. I have a message to the law enforcement of Saguache County, to everybody involved in my case. And as far as I'm concerned, this is going to kind of wrap things up publicly for a while. But terrorists don't negotiate with pirates, apparently. Yeah, some of you know. Yeah, I'm the pirate. They're the terrorists. Pirates want you to be free. Pirates want you to be prosperous. Pirates want to liberate the slaves. Terrorists in government, however, want to use fear to achieve political ends, like squeezing every last drop of bullshit they can out of the drawer. Does bullshit come in drops? Because I was going to say blood, but it's really bullshit. Is sort of.
I think it depends on the diet of the bull.
Oh, well, they are full of all kinds of steamy, wet bullshit in law enforcement in Saguache County. I will call out Sheriff Dan Warwick again for not calling back in a week. Gave him over a week now. Nothing. Police Chief Dale Meek of Center Police Department. Nothing. And he's got my fucking property. Like, literally. I don't mean just the mushrooms. My vitamin tray. Like, there's no reason. Get my vitamin tray back. It was $20. Gotta buy another one on Amazon. Yeah, you're not gonna compensate me for this shit. You know, hold that as evidence, really. The DA, Alonzo Payne, the district attorney for the district that is 6 counties plus Saguache. Nothing. No email response, nothing. Just the summons. And they won't even say what it's for, although we saw in the system later after last week's episode that it's for an advisement hearing.
Oh, yeah, Monday. Yeah, before Monday.
Of course. No, the 19th, isn't it? Oh, the 9th, the 19th. Yeah, the January 19th. Supposedly they have me for court, and they didn't serve me, and they want. I don't know what it's for, and I don't care to know, because if they're not putting out a warrant, they're putting out a summons, and they don't even like. I wonder if Yavapai County Sheriff screwed up by going, well, it's a summons, Mr. Kokesh. Come identify yourself as Mr. Kokesh so I can give you these papers. I said no, and they're like, whoops. Because that's not how it's supposed to work, right? When you serve someone with papers. So I don't know if they just screwed that up, and now it's like, now they don't know what to do, or they have to catch me at a public event. We might be driving through Saguache County again this weekend. Very excited to announce, actually, we will be going to Community Share Fest in Denver on Saturday. I don't know, where's the website? You can look it up. We'll find this. It's on Facebook. Shout out to Bruce Bauman, our point of contact. There's organizing this. There's a Johnny Hurley memorial part of this program. Local one evening music fest community. It's really We Are Change Colorado people doing one of their cool get-togethers again. It's like a drum circle, but with really good music. Is that kind of what you expected from what there's a little video promo?
Sharing.
Well, I'm hoping people will give me a lot of mushrooms to drive back to Arizona. Oh my God. So anyway, yeah, nothing from Saguache County. Very disappointing. So just to wrap that up, we will be quietly pursuing lawsuits. Bring it. We're bringing it. And a disclaimer about my face. If you're looking at me going, gosh, Adam, your nose is somewhat more bulbous than usual. You're not imagining things. Little homesteading accident. fell right on my face. Fell forward flat, just fell on my face. Metaphorically, doing great. Physically, literally, fell on my face. I was carrying a load of logs like from our stash of firewood here, load up in one arm. I pick them up one at a time, load them up in one arm. And I turned, and there was a big log on the ground that I didn't see because this bundle of logs in my arm kind of blocking my view. I think something distracted me, and I tripped on it, and it was wet because it's snowy and muddy out. And I fell, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a really intense fall. I better break this fall by smashing myself in the face with this bundle of logs. So that's what I did. Is I fell down, smashed myself in the face with a bundle of logs. Actually, I kind of fell like on my other leg and on this arm that wasn't full of logs, and this arm with the logs, and my face just kind of there. So yeah, smashed my nose, bloody nose on both sides. And I was like constellation. It's almost a cool pattern, right? Like if it was permanent, I could pass it off as a face tattoo. So I should use like a subtle face tattoo. Oh my gosh, now I want a face tattoo. I've never wanted a face tattoo. But yeah, so that's why my nose is a little funky. I don't know if it's gonna affect my voice. It's a little painful to blow my nose, but it's not bad. I just kind of like a bruise here, a little cartilage damage. No big deal. With that, Jim, give us the producer notes while I fix the set here.
What's going on, everybody? Hope my audio is good. Something happened with my headphones earlier in the show, and I don't know why, but I'm going to get that fixed before the next show. T.me/Adam versus Man is the public Telegram channel. Everyone is welcome to. It's easy to join, free to join. You just have Telegram app. You can any updates or posts about the show. If the schedule changes, if we have anything special planned, you'd find it there. It'd be notification. Telegram, Adam advertises all the time, is awesome as another social media. So if you're going to figure out how to do that with Telegram, start with T.me/Adam versus Man as your first group that you follow as a newsfeed type situation. Patreon.com/Adam versus Man, which is where you can financially support the show. We got $1, $5, $10, even $50 a month packages. Look them all through at all the perks it gives you. It's really cool. You can earn access to the private producers club, which is another part of the Telegram private club. That's where the link to the show, so you can sit backstage if you want to watch the show backstage and chat with Adam and us backstage. Do that through the Producers Club and join the Producers Club through patreon.com. HOMEFRONTBATTLEBUDDIES.org. I'm sure during the next couple hours, Adam's going to talk a little bit more about that. If you know anything about HOMEFRONTBATTLEBUDDIES.org, the veterans organization, 501c3, you can donate to your theft deductible donations through HOMEFRONTBATTLEBUDDIES.org are always appreciated. I'm sure he'll talk more about that. Back to the host of the show. Oh, I forgot.
Hey, well, the candle is lit.
It should be.
Yeah, that's kind of a big.
You might have a delay.
Well, the candle is lit. The tea is poured. G.I. Mary Jane is in studio. I think it is time to do what we've been doing all day.
Oh, that's a good idea. Here we go.
Oh, delay.
Uh-oh. We just lost Adam. Yeah, we'll finish smoking. Snoop Dogg.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
Obviously, we're delayed. And one more producer note I should mention. I'm a little bit slow and sloppy today because I recently went on vacation and saw my granddaughter, and that was a fantastic time. Yeah, absolutely. I love great pictures and everything like that. But I forgot my mouse there, so now I'm working on the laptop mouse, and it's not treating me. I'm not used to it. Welcome back, sir. Oh, okay.
No, you're froze. What's
Okay.
going on with you? I
A
don't know.
little better.
It's kind of.
I don't want to play the music because I'm afraid it'll cut out.
Save us, Elon Musk. Save us. Starlink will be here in February, according to the website.
They said that to us in August too. So.
February.
No, we were supposed to have it last August.
2 months. Oh.
The whole country was supposed to have it by last August.
They said this area. This is February. So,
There's a lot.
sugar water.
Fascinating.
Am I still not connected, or am I just choppy?
I don't know. But Brian Walker's having a good day. He says some chick left him about 2 ounces of chem dog. One of my favorite things. I love my chem. Congrats, Ryan. That's like a late Christmas present. That's good stuff.
Well, then he says, "Guess she ain't coming back." You better make sure before you smoke it all,
I'm saying, maybe
because if she comes back and all that weed's gone, you might be very disappointed.
that she's not going to come back a third time.
On.
I don't know.
No, but mine.
It doesn't look
Jim?
like it based on Jim's face.
All right, is this thing on?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is this thing on? Is this just T-Mobile fucking with us now?
Must be.
All right, so we smoke weed every day. Joey has a story to share. Let's see that next, because this is like, I mean, we were, and you know, we're gonna cover some top news stories today. But Jim can hang out for this one. Jim, it's story time.
Story
You're
time.
supposed to stay on screen.
I thought
Yeah,
you might help with the
he's
connection.
not going to be able to join us today, but he is going to be house sitting and dog sitting for us this weekend, so that we can go to the Community Share Fest in Denver. Very excited about that. So before we get to the Homefront Battle Buddies update, tell us about your experience.
Story time.
Yeah.
New. I don't know if I want to say it's a new revelation in the post-COVID world. I think maybe my expectations were just a little too high. But so I had a therapy appointment for the first time. I've been in continued therapy since 2015 after a series of traumatic events, and it's been awesome. And so I moved Colorado to Arizona. I'm getting all resettled, which takes entirely too long to begin with. And what a blessing it was to finally be sitting in the parking lot of the new therapist. Except for when I walked in, the receptionist, I like the answer that I gave her. I've got to be, and I got this from you. I think I got this from you. She said, "Do you have a mask?" And I said, "No." She said, "Well, do you need a mask?" I said, "No, thanks. I'm not sick." And then we went.
I don't know if I used that one.
You haven't used that one?
No, but I mean, it's a good one.
Makes sense. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be worn. If you're sick, you wear a mask, not the other way around. So, and I told her I'm not comfortable with that. Arizona doesn't have a state mandate either, so there's no force coming down from the top on these medical facilities.
You know what I would say now though that I would like, and I think I did this last time, but it was at the gas station where they ended up calling security on me. So this is a really fun story.
Because
We're
you
on
didn't
the way
buy
to
the
Vegas.
coffee.
And no, but I didn't. They wouldn't let me.
They wouldn't let
I walked into the store at a gas station attached to a casino, and I went and made myself a coffee. And then someone yelled at me from like the counter, like kind of around the corner, "Hey, you need a mask, sir?" I said, "No, thanks." And when I made my coffee, came back, and they were talking to me. I put my coffee down on the counter, and as we're talking, I drank like half of it. And by the time I got tired of the conversation, I was like, "Well, shit, let's have a coffee for free. I'll just leave."
If you're not gonna take my money, then I'll.
But this came up with my family, and the most powerful thing for me is just no, I'm not playing pretend anymore because it's dangerous. Like
Exactly.
I'm not going to play pretend anymore. If you come out like and you want to come out and force me and threaten me or coerce me or limit access to something I have a right to do on a case-by-case basis, I might wear a mask. Like, excuse me, like to go through a TSA checkpoint. like to get on a plane. Outside of that, I will use everything I can to say no, I'm eating, I'm drinking, or no, like you can't enforce it here, so piss off, whatever, because it's unhealthy, it's counterproductive, but it's playing pretend. It's a dangerous game. So one of the White Rose stickers that I got, if you don't know the White Rose, find them on Telegram because they will mail you free stickers. But one of the White Rose stickers, the one that I put on, oh, I won't say. It says, "Let's play pretend. I'll pretend that your mask works, and you pretend that I'm wearing one." Like other than that, I'm not playing pretend.
Oh,
I'm done. I'm not playing pretend anymore. And it's just kind of standing in your own truth. So anyway, back to your story though.
well, and it comes down to that, right?
No, I'm not sick.
With playing pretend, like we play pretend. All right, not me. Parents play pretend with their kids when it comes to the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus. Sometimes it's okay, like you said, at a TSA checkpoint when you're going through to play pretend and play their little game.
TSA checkpoint is playing pretend anyway.
And yeah, the whole exactly.
It's
the whole
Kabuki
thing,
Security Theater. We knew that
the
from
whole
the
thing's a
beginning. They
fairy
said,
tale.
"You will
Whatever.
dance Kabuki Security Theater with us for 30 seconds and do the ceremony and kiss the ring, or you will not fly." We go, "Fuck, all right, I'll fly." Like, I'll do the Kabuki. I'll do so it's in the and the mask and the mask and the. Oh, all right, okay. Woo-hoo. Calm down.
But there's one thing with playing pretend for a minute to appease your children to the TSA. And then there's another thing completely in putting yourself in a situation where you are absolutely uncomfortable and you feel violated. And that's where this situation put me. So I'm going to see a therapist. I'm going to get a particular set of treatments. It's called EMDR, EDMR. I always say those first two letters backwards. But it's a visual, audible, full sensory therapy that's supposed to break subconscious trauma blockages. So it's pretty personal. I mean, this person's legitimately helping me reprogram my brain. And
Well, regardless, it's a person-to-person therapy technique. It doesn't matter like the specifics of it, but it's an
even if it was
intimate
talk therapy,
conversation,
you're
right?
right. Even if it was talk
Yeah.
therapy, and that's why I don't like the online stuff. But I don't mind the online stuff, but I want to at least come see you in your office every now and then, even through the online stuff, because when you're talking to somebody, I don't know what you're doing down here. I don't know if you're writing an essay and not listening to me. I don't know. It's much better to have a conversation with another human being in their presence. So anyway, long story short, the receptionist calls out the therapist because my next question to her was, well, do I have to wear it in the lobby? And I'll wear it in the lobby until we get back to the office. I'll take it off. Who gives a damn, right? But the therapist came out, covered up my feet for the first time. Can you understand me? Can you hear what I'm saying? And asked me to come out into the hallway and went over this thing. Well, Joey, it's our policy. We need to wear masks. And right away, this guy's talking down to me, physically and like figuratively, like a principal or something. So I already got a weird vibe. And what vibe you get from your therapist is another important reason why you want to meet them in person. And then I said, no, I'm sorry. I was like, dude, I said, we're getting ready to have talk therapy. I can't see your face. I don't know who you are. I'm not comfortable with you. Are you going to wear this while you're in the office? Well, yeah, it's our policy. And I really wish you would reconsider. And it's like right there. That's rapey. I just said, no, I'm not comfortable not seeing your face. And instead, therapist, at leaving it at that, okay, this person says, no, they're not comfortable.
Well,
His response could have been, sorry, I'm not comfortable being in a room with you without a mask. Maybe this isn't going to work. That's fine. That's a fair, legitimate answer.
I'm sorry, it's the compromise that I've made by taking the job in this facility. The only way that I can see you is if you do this. If you don't, like, it's cool. I get it. I'm sorry. Like, there are people who side with the bad guys in certain situations and then deny it, and you go, fuck you, fuck that. Like, no, but if you're just like, hey, I compromise with the devil, here are the terms. You want to work with me, this is how you got to do it. Like, sure, because you're already doing that in going to a licensed therapist in a facility and all that, right?
Yeah, then what really disturbed me most of everything else was I really wish you'd reconsider, because that's when it crossed that line into coercion. Now I've got a therapist trying to
I think that wording is just. I mean, I will disagree with you on that one. I think you're being unfairly triggered by that wording. I think he's just trying to be helpful. I think he genuinely is saying, "Hey, I think this would be good for you. I wish you changed your mind. Is there anything I could do to like help you or change you or change your decision on this?"
Sure.
I don't think the wording is really nefarious. It sounds like a line out of a movie. I hope you'll reconsider
That's
my
what it felt
offer you
like.
can't refuse.
God,
And he's
that's
talking
so what
down
it
to
felt
you with
like.
the mask. Maybe it's, but no, I mean, like,
But you know
like,
what?
it's-
I couldn't even determine that because I can't see your face. All I can hear is your words. And at that point, my mind's free to make up whatever because I don't have any other verbal cues.
I'm saying let's give him the
So
benefit of the
give me-
doubt on that little bit in particular.
Yeah. Yeah. Ryan Walter chimes in and he says, check this out, guys. I'm a UC student and just cleared on my religious exemption on vaccination.
Oh, hey. Batman.
I looked into that. My child's got religious exemption to get into the school. He's 12, and apparently it's not working in Florida. So
Because his father actually is Christian and on those grounds as well as common sense objecting to your son getting the vaccine.
yeah, absolutely. There are drugs in our body that
But it's not
Otherwise,
working now. It worked for a while and now it's not.
it worked all the way up to what, 6th grade now, and now they won't let him in.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, if he can do it without being isolated, better for him to not be in the system anyway.
I agree,
Yeah,
disagree, but I was curious about the Native American church that you're with, whether or not that protects you from any forced vaccination, from any jobs or anything like that. Something you should look into. Might be a great way for people to get around this BS at their job.
I don't know.
I don't know. The native population, the reservations I've seen in the area go the extra mile with COVID. They're scared of this shit.
Yeah.
For reason. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Me too. Like, yeah.
Now, maybe we should get into this for next week's episode because this is a really, looking, because one thing, as I've come out of my 12 weeks of jail time and holiday interruptions and all that, trying to get back into my routine here as quickly and smoothly as possible. Just trying to get a handle on where we are with COVID, catching up with the news. Haven't really been sort of exploring or deepening my understanding very much. But it's been heartening and encouraging to see Black Americans, by and large, being on the skeptical side. And I don't know what data we might have to back this up, but what I've heard, and I don't want to, I'm not judging, I'm not summarizing, I'm not imposing judgments on a group as a whole, but it seems like the sentiment in Black America is, hey, we remember Tuskegee, hey, we remember all the crazy bullshit that the white American authorities have pulled on us in the name of medical whatever the fuck. And then you go, well, Native Americans had it pretty fucking bad too. How did they? Because it's and I both groups tend to trend left liberal, right? Black Americans and Native Americans, and so you'd expect both to. If that was the reason, Black America would go COVID obedient, and so would Native Americans.
Native Americans
right?
have every reason to
Yeah, so again,
the government.
a lot of assumptions here, but if anybody wants to send us links in the Producers Club to get into this a little bit more thoughtfully on the next week's program, that's the kind of thing I'd love to get into, especially then looking at the international scope of this. And I think we've got a little bit more of a handle on where we're at and where things are going with this kind of fading into the background. As one of our theories, we're going to flatten the curve of tyranny, but it's not going to come like right back down to where it was. All of these rackets are going to fade out. They're going to draw them out as long as they can. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, and some of them are going to linger, though. I mean, I don't think
right. Well, like flu shots.
It's just like 9/11. Like, look at all the shit that got implemented after 9/11, and we're like, oh, it's going to be okay. We won't have to deal with this TSA checkpoint. Once the bullshit. And here we are.
Okay, so here's a metaphor for this, and to preserve the bigger picture of optimism here, right? If tyranny is still going down on the whole, it surges every now and then, like 9/11, the Patriot Act, COVID, the COVID policies, the vaccines. And they pile on layers, but they add a layer while all of the layers as a whole are being shrunk faster than they can they can grow. We are pulling the relevance down of the whole thing as they're like maybe even throwing patches on. Like I mean, doesn't it kind of feel that way?
They're flailing. They pulled out every fear tactic that they can in regards to COVID and the vaccine, and still through all the fear mongering campaigns and propaganda, there's still a percentage of America that's like, no, I'm really not scared, and that terrifies them. Like now, it's like, well, how do we make them scared? We gotta go above and beyond to freak them out. And I don't know. This one's not going to work as well as the Great Weed Scare of 1930. Because we have the internet, because we can literally do research while we take it down, find all the answers that we need in a matter of minutes.
Well, that brings us to the next, being back on the front lines all of a sudden, and maybe a good transition to Homefront Battle Buddies, because Homefront Battle Buddies until my arrest was very covert and subtle in terms of the specifics around alternative therapies. Just, hey, we're doing it. But we're very careful. We're facilitating, and I'm still maintaining that separation. And actually, after speaking with Ed, in order to separate my personal liability, I might be resigning from everything on paper with Homefront Battle Buddies. So if we can recruit another executive director who wants to manage that, we really want to feel that. I can't do the paperwork. I don't have the patience for it. If I'm left in charge of this nonprofit, we're going to be shut down in 3 years just for like not crossing I's and dotting T's. See, because I can't even do that right. So if we could get someone to step in, then it would give me the sort of legal liability flexibility to be the provider of the alternative therapies. And I'm so much more comfortable with that now, especially with mushrooms. And we've been talking about this a lot since this incident and what it makes possible. But I just want to make it clear to everybody again exactly, what this episode accomplished, in that anything government tries to do to you criminally, they have to back up with, well, if you object, we will assemble a jury of your peers and they will condemn you and reinforce our authority by doing so. And when it comes to like ever since, at very least, I got my Oklavue Native American church card and carry a card that affirms my legal right under American Supreme Court religious precedents to possess any kind of drug that is naturally occurring as a substance. So you cannot say it's my religion to smoke meth, which is unfortunate because it shouldn't be a prohibition that way. But because this came about from Native Americans, they were sort of if it occurs naturally, then yes, you can say that it's
cocaine count?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, kind of. It was one of my felony charges in Texas, and my religious defense at least scared them off of pursuing it.
It's naturally occurring.
It is technically,
just like hash oil or
no, like hash oil is, you could say, or like if it's finger hash.
No, hash oil. That's correct.
Right. Okay. So then it's also
there's a process.
It's chemical treatment. So
yes and no. It's well, no, not necessarily.
I guess it could be bubble. No, you can't make oil.
You can use oil. THC attaches to fat cells. So, but you would make edibles. You're processing it.
Then you could distill it. You can distill oil with all natural products. Okay, fair enough. Cocaine, but cocaine is processed with gasoline or something, isn't it?
I've never took a class.
We should learn.
I want to know how to
Hey, someone sent me a bag of cocoa leaves.
You can buy cocoa leaves.
Really?
That's
should they like? I mean,
I don't know if you want it legally, but I do know, thanks to the History Channel.
Are the cocoa leaves themselves illegal?
No, Coca-Cola is still the only entity legally allowed to import decocainized coca. I don't know how you decocainize them.
Which is what they use part of the flavor?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like mushrooms, because mushrooms technically aren't illegal until they are dried for consumption as
No,
drugs.
it
There's
specifically
psilocybin.
says decocainized. And then I looked into this, and all it says is decocainized is when the chemical compounds removed. And then they don't get into any detail as to how that happens, or is Coca-Cola getting like bags of these full leaves?
You know who
and then
defines
they get
that?
through a treatment.
You know who gets to define that?
Government.
Coca-Cola's lawyers.
Who doesn't know anything? Yeah, they don't
Coca-Cola's
even know
lawyers.
what they're talking about. Yeah, so whatever Coca-Cola's lawyers decide.
So with psilocybin, I mean, what we basically proved was a veteran with a small quantity of psilocybin in capsules who has a nonprofit and has done the legal homework and checked the box and said, I'm legally allowed to do this by religious exemption. You're going to lose a trial and it's not worth the trouble. So back the fuck up. And I don't want to discuss specifics right now or publicly yet, but I am comfortable, at least in the context of Homefront Battle Buddies, saying I grow mushrooms here to give to veterans. We are actually restarting our grow operation now, having hibernated it recently for obvious reasons. But we're looking for help with that and explore some of the other possibilities that go along with what I have figured out and the liability that I am now willing to bear. Because same thing, it's like with Saguache County. If this summons that they're issuing me is for the mushrooms charges, first of all, they're never going to turn it into an extraditable warrant. And if they do, I'm going to go turn myself in to Yavapai County and go and play that strategy and be like, okay, take me to Saguache County Jail. I'll stay here as long as it takes me to figure out I'm not worth it. And you're going to figure out a way to release me. I'm going to sit here in solitary. I'm going to refuse to process. Like as soon as they put cuffs on me in Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, and I don't know, maybe they'll transport me to Saguache first. Maybe they'll try to book me there. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not worth your trouble. I'm not your victim. I'm your Huckleberry, and I'm not playing anymore. You want to come after me for mushrooms? Go ahead. Go ahead. Really, just let's dance. I kind of enjoy this. I got G.I. Mary Jane. I got Jim. I got the producers club backing me up on the outside. If you don't figure out, either I'm going to get a lawsuit against you, and or make sure that anybody who touches me doesn't have a job by the end of the next election cycle. Yeah, come at me, bro. And so I want to share that with people. I want to share the gift of psilocybin. I want to share everything that makes possible with people through this. So if anybody wants to email me about any of the possibilities there, adam@thefreedomline.com. Most importantly, with Battle Buddies, we are building momentum, but we still need help fundraising and out here building. And we take pictures. We post them on the Gardenia Telegram and sometimes on my Twitter when it's beautiful and snow covered out here. You know what? Really, most of the winter, you can work outside. One way or another. It's not like this. It's the mountains. I mean, you could do construction work most days. The problem is when it's wet and muddy, and then you're kind of limited in what you can do. But actually, when there's snow on the ground, it's easy. And like today, got up to 60 degrees today in Ashford, and right here in Gardenia. It was nice. Still tiny patches of packed snow and shadows on the north side of some little boulders here and there. I went for a jog and I was wearing a t-shirt, and it was really nice. So it's not a bad time to come out. It's just that occasionally, what is the winter here? Occasionally you have a few cold, snowy, sleety, overcast days, and it's muddy and frozen, and then it's nice, and then it's kind of an on and off winter.
Sit inside near the fire.
It's too warm. I'm getting hot in here.
So apparently Mike Adams tore down the Coca-Cola cocaine mystery back in 2011. I just pulled up an article.
Oh.
So apparently Coca-Cola they had to set up a separate entity for the DEA called the Stepan Company, or Stephen, Stepan, Stepan. I don't know how they want to pronounce that. So the Stepan Company is who's responsible. Are we gonna blow up?
No, just water on the stove.
Okay. Is who is responsible for importing this stuff. Approximately 100 metric tons of coca leaves are imported to the Stiffen Company every year under special permission from the DEA. Keep all this in mind when you consider the total fraud of the current war on drugs, yada, yada, yada. So the point is the decocainized leaves that they ship in, I guess when you make cocaine, the leaves stay intact. So Coca-Cola is getting the leaves after it's been decocainized. Where's all the Coke going?
So they're just using it for flavor, though, right?
It's just a flavor thing. But the Stephen Company also has permission to import opium for some strange reason. I'm reading this all from a Natural News article from back in 2011. I'm going to put it in the Producers Club right now.
So, like,
Just skimming, but wow.
all this stuff is possible. Why?
Regulation.
No, because people buy Coke.
Yeah.
You know, and this is where, you know, we're all guilty. I'm not preaching from a perspective of, you know, like, you know, I'm perfect here, but it makes me think about, like, even the tea that I'm drinking came from the grocery store in a box that went through some. No. Am I still? Am I back? Okay. But it's like with cannabis, like we were tricked into thinking that shopping at dispensaries was like the righteous thing to do.
Oh yeah, you're like,
It's
oh,
not.
these people are pioneers. They're breaking through.
We want to
this.
support
But then
them.
you sit back and you're like, no, I still support what they think they're doing.
Well, are they clearing the way for legal, semi-legal grows?
I mean,
Yes and no.
Like Flow Canna is, they're putting all their tax money into an escrow and going after the state right now.
I'm
We need more of that.
saying part of it, and this is something I'm being reminded of, and sort of, you know, that like even just over the last like 3 or 4 months, re-examining my life and building the habits to minimize my contribution to Independency on Babylon. It's for a lot of reasons. You know, first and foremost, this is what you make me think of with the Coca-Cola story and their special privilege here. Is that, you know, like we occasionally buy Coke products. Is Fresco Coke products?
Sure, Fresco Coke product.
You know, like what do we want? We want something fizzy and fruity and 0 calories.
It's not Coke.
No, it's not Coke. But whatever. Right. Yeah. It's one of
the two.
Like, what else can we do to stop doing this? But it's also, you know, like if we can have it in a way that's sort of made on site, then we're never
get
dependent.
one of those soda maker machines
with well water and lemon juice
machine,
squeezed from our tree on the property.
And then
so like there is a way, like
you can insert bubblies to your drinks at home. There's a machine for that.
Yeah, and I mean maybe when it's just the two of us, you know, feeding ourselves and me eating one meal a day, it's not really worth that. But if you think about, you know, everything we want to do building out with Homefront Battle Buddies, everything we want to do with other retreats and other businesses here and things that we want to grow, we really do want to be an example of that. And I think this is also kind of pioneering, not technologically, but in making it practical and modern and for the right reasons. So, you know, and another thing we got going on here. What's this comment you got?
Fina.
Hey.
Fina says she does not support Coke. Haven't bought a Coke product since the story came out about them training their employees to be less white.
That was what did it for you. Now, not that that's a good thing for them to be doing, but
that's just so stupid. Like they couldn't
like mouse heads in the Coke
sensitivity classes. Like that's the right way.
Well, they weren't the only ones doing that. The Coke just was like, I almost feel sorry, like that. Like, wait, if it wasn't for Coke being an overall evil company, right? I would feel sorry that Coke lost Fina's business over. Oh, they had one HR person get a little carried away with the PC bullshit in their training class.
It makes you wonder if he was doing
be less white, but
I guess like I hate.
But like it's so you know what, this gets me to a bigger point I wanted to make about COVID and the psychological analysis and what it represents. This is the what mass formation hysteria. Is that the term now? I'm going to the voluntarist memes page. mass formation psychosis. Mass. This is so the meme here on voluntarist memes has all these the gray heads of CNN, NBC, PBS, Time, MSN, Forbes, CBS, Google, Politico. Mass formation psychosis is quickly becoming a new far right buzzword, and it's like they're all saying it together, like, yeah. And then it's all the bottom half of the meme is all the gray heads wearing masks. There's no such thing as mass formation psychosis. Now, there is I'm not super. I haven't done like, oh my god, what is the breakdown of this term? Where did it come from? Because he's sort of like
mass formation. It's mob mentality. It's a fancier way of saying mob mentality.
Yeah,
mass
right. That's that.
formation.
So my brief research. Yeah, I mean,
there's not
different
much
people.
on it
A lot of people are
online.
reading different definitions into it. SWF Institute, mass formation psychosis is when a large part of a society focuses attention to a leaders or a series of events, and their attention focuses on one small point or issue. I mean, that's part of it. So mob mentality, directed at a small thing.
This came from a guy named Robert Malone, a doctor, who first used the Rogan Experience, and it is just the one since then. So that's
that was
why
a great interview, by the way. You should definitely check that out if you haven't yet, Adam.
I've heard that good things about that, and that Joe Rogan is actually doing really good things in the sense of questioning the whole COVIDism narrative. But I still think he's fundamentally controlled opposition. I would be for $100 million. But what is mass form? So mob psychology. Let's see. We got a Forbes writer here.
That's what I'm looking at, actually.
Oh, okay. It was mass formation psychosis. Robert
there's
Long
not much on
makes unfounded COVID-19 vaccine claims on Joe Rogan show.
I like this quote. On Rogan's podcast, Malone began talking about his background, then COVID-19 vaccines, before sequering to Nazi Germany. Because who doesn't talk about Nazi Germany when talking about COVID-19 these days, right?
Yeah.
That's how it's written up.
So I mean, the term.
And now he's just growing a conscience and starting to ask these hard questions.
Yeah.
Maybe now is the time to try to get you back on his show.
Yeah. Right. I don't know. What do you think it would take to get me back on Joe Rogan's show at this point?
Knocking on his door.
Probably having.
Yeah, like if all the people that got engaged and activated when you went to jail, all the people that wrote emails and all that stuff, if all of them at a specific time, say 1,000 people, if you can muster 1,000 people to tweet at Joe Rogan at the same time saying, listen to Adam Kokesh, have Adam Kokesh, if you can do a block of it at one time, it might
flash mail bombs. I like that.
At least cause a response,
I don't think Jim, I get your point about the people and the demand being there. I don't think Twitter would do it. I think it's too easy for him to ignore it at this point because he has in the past.
Sure, yeah, but it's worth a shot, Like I said, I don't know. Maybe he's changed.
So psychosis is defined by the National Institute of Mental Health as conditions that affect the mind where there has been some loss of contact with reality. So I think that's very accurate. I mean, a mass
Forbes
formation.
Is really being nasty to this guy.
Yeah, of course, Forbes is just tearing him apart.
It's terrible.
Because they're going to say, no, you're out. I mean, but that's what this is. This is you're out of touch with reality. No, you're out of touch with reality. Just like across the either like pro-COVIDism or anti-COVIDism side. And one of the sort of emotionally manipulative cartoons I saw recently was a series of headstones, and each one had a different anti-vaxxer slogan on it, like "not fully tested," or like they haven't, or like just one thing after another like that. I wish I could remember more on the headstones. Like, oh, it's just a flu, like, oh, my natural immunity or herd immunity, on headstones. And they're saying, like, oh, you're dying. No, you're dying. And it's the same thing, like back and forth across. And I wanted to take that and redo that comic and put in, we can trust government this time. Government vaccines are safe. They're safe. I trust my doctors without question, and replace them all with these things.
Now, I got into this. I'm going to interrupt you, but I trust my doctor's thing. That's so I in a psychedelic group online. Somebody's doing a thesis and asks, how much research have you put in before taking the jump to psychedelics? And it's weird. I'm reading through, and the paradox that I realize we're living in is people don't put any research. The doctor gives you a prescription. You walk it to the pharmacy. You probably don't even read the printout on the side of the menu, right? But then once you're on all these pharmaceuticals, you're feeling like shit, you're looking for relief. All of a sudden, you spend like a year and a half researching cannabis and psilocybin. And first of all, first step in research is going to find that nobody's died from either of these two things. That should tell you everything you can know. But for some reason, people continue to do this research like just ad nauseum, and they never make their decision. And you sit back and you go, did you do that much research before you got that Ambien? No. Why?
Because I blindly trust authority like an idiot in the Matrix.
I don't get it.
That's an interesting dichotomy. Well, it's so, Joey. I haven't trotted out this point in a long time, but it's sort of worth reminding everyone of this feature of human thought, in that it has an application for the paradigm of statism as well as the paradigm of COVIDism. And it's that people used to think the earth was flat. You've heard me do this, right? People used to think the earth was flat. And someone coming along and said, no, maybe the earth is round and it's not the center of the universe.
Some people still think the earth is flat.
You're not allowed, you're ruining my point, Joey. But people used to think the earth, those are trolls. They're just fucking with you. They don't really
like birds.
Nobody who says I'm part of the flat earth movement they're not real. They're like birds. No, they're just fucking with you. They really don't believe that. They just get every single one. Because I read minds, and they're like, so there's like, we got another one. It's due by mentioning them and talking about them this much, we already lose. No, people used to think the earth was flat in the center of the universe. Someone came along and said maybe not. And for most people, it was, well, the men with fancy hats say the earth is flat, so I guess the earth is flat. And then they turn around and go, well, the men with fancy hats say the earth is
But most people couldn't even read that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is they just went, well, the men with fancy hats say this.
The
But
educated people.
for the men with fancy hats who had invested a lot of math and mental gymnastics and labor and work, and they had observed the stars and actually come up with these irrational, they denied physics and Euclidean geometry, before we've, shit's kind of got to follow an oval path. Like there's a mathematical concept here that squares with physics and reality way better than this. Those people who had that had to put in a lot of effort to understand the new model to displace the old one.
And then imagine having to explain that to everybody you just convinced it was flat.
Well, but here's so with statism, right? You've heard me make this analogy with statism. If you grew up with a bunch of hippies who never talked politics, and then you went to a government high school and you got the full dose of government high school propaganda, and then a libertarian came to you and said, you know what, man, all that shit's bullshit. You'd be like, oh yeah, well, I've only got like a few years invested in, and this kind of makes more sense, right? Yeah, you're right, government is kind of bullshit. And then compare that to a kid who grows up with parents who are cops or politicians or government bureaucrats or people who completely depend on the government, and then they've been going to government school their entire lives, and maybe they join the military, and then you try to convince them, and no, they got and this is true for me, having come out of the military and had to deprogram myself. The more intense the programming, the more I don't want to say work or effort, because it's not work, but just data has to be processed one way or another. It can be processed very fast. Someone who has a truly open mind and open heart, who does research, willing to change their perspective, not just reinforce it, you know.
Might be quick for them.
But they have to.
I mean, you get people that like never accept it and they get stubborn with themselves and fight back against the.
They have to go through that process
many
of
different emotions.
displacing that data in their head, that part of their worldview, their model of the universe. So for people with COVID, I should say with COVIDism, the entrenchment of it psychologically, even though it happened relatively quickly, it was pretty deep. You know, and part of what has to be deprogrammed isn't just the data, but the emotional attachment. I think it was Mark Twain. It's much easier to fool someone than convince someone that they've been fooled. Because to fool someone, you just have to get them to decide to believe one thing that's not true. To convince them that they've been fooled, you also have to convince them to be humble enough to admit that they've been fooled.
Yeah, it's tough.
And that they were wrong and that you are right now. Like, it's so much, it's a scale harder. It's like 3 scales harder. You know, to fool someone, it's like one lie, one fact, one thing you have to, you know, implant in their brain. To convince someone that they have been fooled, you have to convince them that this person was nefarious, that they were wrong, that they got it, that the person you're talking to got it wrong, and that you are right. I mean, it's like at least you have to, and that you are well intentioned, and that the people who lied to you are not well intentioned. Although at this point in the age of the internet, you really want to tell me that government is well intentioned? It's like there are 2 types of people who trust government and people who know history. So I just wonder now, like with back to COVIDism and mass formation psychosis, what are our puppies doing in there? Do we need to like?
I think they're cold. I'm cold.
I guess I'm hot because
You're-
they're not cold. They're dogs in blankets. Start doing that. I got my dogs on remote control. At least Thelma and Louise. See that? Yeah, that's right. We'll be
It might be
quiet.
a potty.
No, oh, we can do that. Maybe we should
I'm gonna take them out.
do our video break.
Always do your thing.
Is there anything else? Well, I want to do one more shout out here before the break. You can look up Community Share Fest, hosted by Rainbow Lightning, Andy Babb, and Laura L. Music. That's January 8th. That's this Saturday. Today's Wednesday, January 5th. Joey and I will be driving. We're very grateful to have Ed covering for us here and watching the puppies. We're going to sneak in a trip to Chaco Canyon.
Yeah.
Because Joey's never been. Friday afternoon to be there for sunset. And then we're going to be in Denver. And I'm giving blood, finally.
Yes, sign me up to
Oh, yeah.
But not live position.
Okay, so we'll do that. See if we can get Joey scheduled too. I don't know. It's weird because I keep.
I got that text too that said there's a national blood shortage.
Yeah, it's a good time to remind you. I should have been doing it before. Go give blood.
Lottery, man. That's
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're giving away $5,000. Whatever. That's. I don't care about that. I mean, it's nice, but like,
cool perk.
That's a prize, probably being distributed to like 5,000. I'm hoping there are 5,000 donors who could step up in the next week or so. That's still a thing. But yeah, we I guess we have a running thing. Anybody who gives blood and wants to be a member of the Producers Club, in our secret backstage conversation, you get some fun perks. It's the one Telegram group that I absolutely keep up with the conversation, although it has been getting crazy lately. Joey's in there, Jim's in there, I'm in there, Ed's in there. So go give blood and send me an email with proof of you giving blood, and you can get membership into the Anniversary of the Man exclusive Producers Club on Telegram. With that, Jim, do you have that Odyssey video pulled up? American educates Brits on revolution.
Word.
Roll tape.
Well, honestly, guys, that's the most disappointing answer possible, and I'm going to put you on the spot because I think you're full of shit.
It was more mandatory, really.
Well, hold on.
Well, not really.
Well, you guys got to look right for television here. Pretend it's television. What's your name? Where are you from? And why are you here today?
I'm Ashley. I'm from the UK. I'm from Birmingham.
Steve, UK, Birmingham as well.
And you guys got vaccinated courtesy of your magnanimous government, the NHS, the National Health Service, right? And they paid for what company's vaccine for y'all?
It's not so much the company. It's more, I don't know what you call it. Just rolled it out to the age ranges. So they start from like the older ages and then they work their way down. And then obviously to our age, like mid, so 50s, 40s, 30s, and then down to teenagers.
Which vaccine did you get?
Pfizer.
That's what I meant by coverage. So it's Pfizer.
Oh, yeah, same.
So that was a double shot, right?
Yeah. So you have one and then you have another one three months later?
Supposed to, something like that, yeah.
You guys got both? You have the
Yeah.
Now, they told you that would protect you from the virus, right? But
the illusion of it.
There's a... What's the illusion?
Don't know. It just seems that everything's falling into place.
Everything's falling into place. Feels more like things are falling out of place.
And then there's the booster jabs as well. These are going to help even more.
Right, because it's like they were lying when they said it would protect you if you need boosters every... What is it with this Pfizer? Say every 6 months you're on...
Yeah, I think, is it every 6 months and then you've got to have a top up after that?
No, it's about the booster one. Like you have your two and then the booster and then that's it, apparently.
Yeah.
I just love hearing British people like figure shit out between themselves. It's like, no, it's this. No, it's... Can we just do that for like half an hour? But by the end of it, we're going to figure out what this illusion is, right? So what's the illusion?
I don't know. There's a couple of things. So they want to go cashless, everything card only. That fell into place. All the plastic in the ocean and everything, and then you got to wear masks everywhere. Recycle from plastic.
The super class and the ultra rich got everything they wanted and power consolidated, and billionaires got a lot richer because people went along with COVID mandates from the NHS.
Slowly.
Is that?
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys can laugh about this because I'm kind of laughing at you. You realize that, right?
I'll just adopt the phrase, it is what it is.
Everything else, or are you going with it?
I'm skeptical. Because I study history, I don't really trust government.
We're on the fence though, so I think it was hard to believe at first, but results don't lie, do they? So it's all in statistics like death and everything. So
well, hold on. You know that 86.5309% of all statistics are total bullshit made up to manipulate you, right?
there is that potential.
I read a study. I saw that on the internet.
Yeah. No, I agree. But, you know.
Well, what's the source? So you say the statistics don't lie, but what's the source of the statistics?
The news back home, but that could be scaremongering. We don't know.
So, and the news, the mainstream media, they never lie. Like, they told the truth about 9/11 and the global war on terror. I mean, the British forces involved in the global war on terror was all on the up and up, and Afghanistan was a massive success, and we stopped terrorism because the government told the truth about all of that, right? And so we learned that we can trust them forever, especially with our health.
That's a different kind of worms, though, isn't it?
Well, it's the same people behind it, isn't it? Same mainstream media, same government liars.
Questionable.
Very questionable. So questionable, I don't think I would let them, like, or inject something in my body.
Have you been vaccinated at all?
Well, I was in the Marines, so from that, I'm like, I'm so vaccinated, I glow in the dark. But that's a different story. But do you think that, like, your government over there, because, like, in the United States, every time the American people have taken a leap of faith and trusted government, a lot of people have died. Yeah. Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam, 9/11 connections with weapons of mass destruction and the global war on terror, H1N1, the Tuskegee experiments, going back to Spanish flu policy. You could see, this isn't even a great survey of all the democide, and I'm pretty sure the British Empire has been killing people unjustly longer than the American Empire. Is that fair to say from your study of history?
Don't say it's far from the truth.
All right. So again, I put you guys on the spot, and I got you laughing at yourself. for examining like why you went along with this stuff, right? But there's something I can tell. I can hear some gears turning, right? Like they're in your head. All right, so British this out for me and figure out what's really going on with COVID policy. Rich getting richer. Stats not adding up. People we can't trust profiting off of all of this. What's the illusion? What's going on, guys?
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, I'll go with that. It's like it is what it is, isn't it? We have to do it for work, for our jobs.
That's it.
You have to.
Yeah. Otherwise, they don't let you go to work.
Well, honestly, guys, that's the most disappointing answer possible, and I'm going to put you on the spot because I think you're full of shit. Because because we have to until we decide we don't have to go along anymore, and then we get to have revolutions. Isn't that when we stop going along with? We get to change the system. You don't want to change the system? Would you rather change the system at this point?
It doesn't really bother me.
It doesn't bother you.
No, not really.
I think you just got to, at the time, I want to keep my job, so you got to do what you need to do. They're not going to pay my bills, are they?
All right. I'm going to say one thing in response. I'm going to give you guys the last word, okay? Because there's something to me, because an activist, as someone who cares, as a veteran who's an anti-war activist, about what you said that's almost deeply offensive because it seems like it's disregarding the great human suffering in the world where you guys as privileged citizens of the empire still, right, taken care of in a first world country where you got jobs, you got the NHS, you got a higher standard of living in most of the world. You don't see the suffering that is even still the legacy in the world today of the British Empire, let alone the current effects of its echo in the American Empire in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I would say I would hope that you could take a minute then to consider, even with COVID, that the implications of just going along with authority unquestioningly are a world of human suffering beyond your experience.
I don't really know what to add to that, to be honest.
Don't know. Makes no difference what I do.
I don't believe your defeatism either, brother. You are more powerful than you know. It is your choice of compliance and complacency, maybe not yours personally on its own, but that could be the one that makes the difference. You never know.
Everyone chooses to believe their own way.
I choose to believe that we have hope for something better. I hope you'll eventually join me in that perspective. I hope this has been a fun enough conversation. Laughing. I should have made more fun of their accents, right? Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Cheers.
We will meet that challenge with courage and love, and as always, we the people will prevail.
Of all the things that I thought would come out of talking to two British dudes on the street in Vegas, calling them privileged citizens of the empire is not what I thought I was going to get. But what is wrong with is Dutch just be? Is it Maryland? I got to put the beat crawl on Maryland to get her to stop doing that.
Oh,
Is it
that's
Maryland?
that. I thought it was an inverter beating.
No. The inverter's been great. Big update here in Gardenia. We put the refrigerator outside, so it's not fighting the oven right here or the stove right across from me. Yeah, I'm sorry our dogs are being kind of uppity. What's this from Whoosh WDF? So many have lost hope. Is that as maddening to you as it is to me? People saying it is what it is.
I mean,
To me, that's like being fat, like just being like, the universe is giving this amazing gift of the human body, but
you're
fuck
talking
it,
about
food.
generational programming here, though. Like, and you hear me out. And the fat example is the perfect example because there's an entire generation post Great Depression, maybe a generation between Great Depression and that the food pyramid generation, right? Where they literally thought that drinking all this dairy and eating all this bread and gluten was good for you because the men in the fancy hats told them. And back then, you had to get yourself in your car, go to the library, do the microfiche thing. You couldn't just, Google the information on your phone, right? So it's programmed in them. And it's not like you're just going to, like you said, you're not, like when you came back from war, you're not just going to wake somebody up right away. Maybe there are people that are so woke and so open-minded that one day they just go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. I'm going to stop it. But there's other people that got to fight through all that psychological abuse Program. That's what it is. It's psychological abuse from the government. It's exactly what it is. They got to get through that. They got to get through, and then maybe they can break the cycle in their lifetime. But if not, it's like, another example. Like it's you had a generation of people that drop that N-word all the time, and that was normal, and they weren't necessarily being racist. That's just what they were raised, and that's the terminology. And you couldn't break them of that. And a lot of that generation is long gone by now. But I remember a child.
Is that really Maryland just ground?
Yeah, that's really Maryland.
Keep talking.
But I remember being a child and, like 80-year-old friends of my grandparents coming over and then just dropping that word like nothing. Even if our Black friends were in the room, it was just a word that they used. And it's a generational thing. You could not convince them that it was insensitive to people. And that generation's gone, and we don't have that anymore. And I don't know, man. It's going to be another generational reprogramming. It's going to take a lot of time. You okay over there? We've got Marilyn, the one dog who's not related, the one dog out of the pack being extra moody.
Well, I think it's because she's being outgrown by the puppies.
She was the big dog.
She was the big dog. Now she's the little dog. But also, she comes from a rough family. She comes from a rough neighborhood where all the dogs are very aggressively vocal. I think she's been bad since we were gone, and since I was in jail, and she had to go be with her family and her neighbors for the weekend.
Sadly, dude, we might be looking at the same thing, a generational programming where these Gen Xers, is that what they're, Gen Z, is that what we're on now?
Behind us, in front of us.
The kids, yeah.
Yeah, we're the millennials.
Where these kids are going to be totally okay with the masks and all the COVID programming because that's what they came up in. And when they're adults, like let's fast forward 50 years, finally it's going to be evident that all this shit that they were pushing for the last 50 years was wrong, right? Their kids are going to know it and be making changes, but you're never going to be able to reprogram. And that's a general statement. Some people, like when you came back from the war, are going to get it. They're going to get it quick, or they're going to get it over a period of time. But some people are going to.
I think I wasn't particularly
wrong.
It's not that I was particularly fast in my ability to process, but I was blessed with the circumstance to really dig into it. Like I had IVAW, and it was my job to do interviews and learn and speak to foreign policy and study, and then that took me from a moderate, a libertarian leaning constitutionalist moderate to a voluntarist, and understanding all of that, and it was just that I had that right luxury and the right exposure at the right time. No, I appreciate that note of humility, right? And I don't, because it's really tempting when other people are so obviously wrong and ethically wrong, or like when you're being sensitive, and this is where so many on the left are being led astray into their emotionally based political worldview that, like, well, hey, if you care about people, you vote Democrat, because it's the compassion, because we care about people, because we have all these social programs, basically, right? And it's the same thing.
And you'll have that same leftist,
care.
And you'll also that same leftist admit to you that the social programs aren't working out, but then they'll go, but they're well intentioned, so it's okay. And then they still just accept and sit in it. And we're gonna have the same thing with COVID. But it's well intentioned. Maybe they were wrong, but they meant well.
So this is the big conclusion I've come to with COVID. It's sort of fading in the background. That's really scary, is that they are going to maintain the illusion enough that most people will be able to say, well, we did what we could based on what we knew at the time. And then they'll move on because they don't want to face. No, you blindly trusted authority and people died as a direct result.
You act like this is something new in society. Look at the drug war.
The face. I want to
blindly trusted the CDC and reefer badness, and literally millions of people have died over the past
this
millennium.
Point we're at now with COVID and hoping that people will wake up or break free from the mass formation psychosis. I'm I'm sort of less hopeful than before. You know, I want to test what we're hearing right now, and this is where, like, I know that I have an intellectual integrity that libertarians and people who question authority have, that those who don't, those who are driven by ideology and emotion or flavors of statism, don't have. And it's just sort of like testing my own beliefs, testing my own ideas. So when I see them saying, oh, look, COVID brought out the crazies, to say that the skeptics are like, this is the new thing from I'm seeing as just like a trend in COVIDist media. Joey, have you seen any stories of this effect? Like, well, at least one of the good things about COVID is it revealed to us all the crazy people, because, well, you know, all of a sudden, you know, Uncle Joe at dinner is saying, but you know that Tom Hanks eats babies? And it's like they're cherry picking from the extreme crazies that might as well be plants on, you know, our side. Like when they say, well, even the microchips, they're going to use the vaccines as a way to put microchips in you. It's not like the injection has a microchip in it, but well, now the microchips are a fucking thing, and it's
They're real, yeah.
it's just as vaccine passports, right? I'm not trying to say like there's something crazy, although fuck, I'm like, stop giving them ideas. Stop giving them ideas, please. Stop giving them ideas.
Aunt Ralston's chiming in the producers club, and he says, hey, let's bring up fentanyl overdoses as the number one killer, but there's no lockdowns as a result of that.
Right. Well, the other thing that they're saying, like this gravestone comic that's stuck in my brain, you know, that people died because they said, oh, it's just like the flu, or all the vaccines not tested, or what have you. And I want to flip it around the other way and say, no, you're crazy. Like, yeah, we have history on our side. We have logic and reason on our side. We have evidence on our side. What do they have? They have appeal to authority. Yeah, they're the crazy ones. And what's really been revealed by this, and this is what's scary, is for those of us who are skeptical of government, skeptical of authority in general, for government to go, look at all these people we can make dance. Fuck. And that's, I think, what should be scary for libertarians. And to me, that's sort of the unavoidable scariness of this is, oh fuck, they wanted us to know how many people they could control. That who wouldn't they? You libertarians think you have a chance? Watch this. We're gonna make society lock down with a virus that is less deadly than the flu, and we're gonna scare people with statistics, and y'all can't do shit. Right? But you know what?
And
Then I think about this on the flip side. They drew a line in the wrong place, because how many people have taken? How many Americans are? We haven't done this for a while. Let's Google. Because you know what? I'll bet it's a lot more Americans have not been vaccinated than are registered with the Libertarian Party. And if the LP wanted to really get their shit together as a party, and I will call out,
they wouldn't get their
you
shit
know,
together
like,
as a party, they would have done something about this from the gate.
I'm not going to call out the leadership by
Lockdown.
name here, but yeah, they should, like what we were doing. We, as in the Kokesh presidential campaign, were saying, like, no, we're going to take leadership on this and call it out for what it is. And if the LP wanted to make itself the
they could have swept the.
the unvaccinated. Yeah, we're the anti-vaccine party. Like, and I don't mean anti. Let me rephrase. We're the anti-COVID vaccine party. We're the anti-COVIDism party. We had said that, and I really think Nick Sarwark, I will call him out, because I think he fucked it up. I don't know why, but I like I said, I don't know what his motives are. But all of the when Italy, remember back in, it was Italy and China and Italy, and then
what?
One other country that
When the shutdowns.
Anyway, remember it was Italy was like one of the first.
Yeah.
Singing from the balconies. Sarwark was spreading all that fear porn without question. Like, and I really think that blunted the LP's ability to think clearly. Like, he really was pumping the fear, stops you from thinking clearly. Nick Sarwark was pumping fear into the party, and championing COVID, what I would call COVIDism. He's going to say, "Oh no, this is a reasonable look at COVID, whatever." But let's see, how many Americans? Well, I should say have been vaccinated. Although, you know what, I'm using DuckDuckGo, and I really should go to Google. Because Google, it's interesting. Well, let's see, DuckDuckGo. If you Google or if you put DuckDuckGo, how many Americans have been vaccinated, it takes you. It says Mayo Clinic, NPR, USA Today, Vaccine Tracker. But if you go to Google, let's try Google.com, because Google before, how many Americans have been vaccinated? It pulls up the graph in the tracker and propaganda in your face. And it says percent fully vaccinated is 62.2%. That's about where I expect, because last time we checked in on this was about 2 months ago, right, Joey?
Yeah.
And it was like just over 50%.
507 million doses.
I see doses given in the United States,
Fully
513.
vaccinated over. This is on NPR. I can't trust because that's their thing, right?
This is Google
Fully
from
vaccinated
our
over
world.
205 million people, or 62% of the total U.S. population.
Yeah.
205 million. We don't
So-
have that. We don't have 205
Yeah, but
healthy.
here's the thing. Yeah. Oh no.
Oh, you're jumping.
Hold on. Stop. There are roughly 330 million Americans. Of 330 million Americans, 205 million, or 62.2%, are fully vaccinated. Making a lot of assumptions here, obviously. That means that 330 minus 205 is 125 million Americans. Or by this percent, 47.8%, 37.8% of Americans not fully vaccinated. And that's if you believe these statistics. Because if anything, as we know, the COVIDists who control the media have heavily skewed things towards supporting their narrative and are going to exaggerate this as much as possible. And they're going to have to, at some point, subtract for all these crazy vaccine chasers who are trying to catch them all, like Pokemon, right? Got to catch, or that's the COVID variants. Got to catch them all. But no, even people who are going, I'm going to get this vaccine and that vaccine and this booster and that booster because they're that fucking scared. You know, maybe that's a significant part of this being overcounted at this point. How many people are registered libertarian in the country out of the general voting population?
Are they handing out stickers for the vaccines now, like the I voted sticker? Is that what it is? Everybody really wants the sticker.
Yeah, right. All right, quick DuckDuckGo search. Libertarian Party registration surges 92%. Now, it's 2008. Wikipedia, Libertarian Party, United States. Let's see, does it
My
membership?
libertarian ass is not registered libertarian though, so these numbers are even.
No, the membership is different.
Hey,
But
I'm
you know what?
not letting the government know what
Here's
shit is.
a more solid metric, right? 2020. How did Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen come out in the final score?
2%,
Is that what it was?
1.2%. Yeah, I remember because I was like proud to represent the 1.2%. There was a little hashtag going on for like an hour.
It's worse than that.
Was it 1.2?
Yeah, well, oh no, yeah, worse than 1.18. Yeah, 1.18. 1.18% of Americans in 2020 decided to cast their vote, or voters. There's a lot of non-voters, of course, who said, and there's some overlap here, of course. That, you know, we're at 1.2% of Americans who cast a presidential vote said, yeah, we're with the libertarians. With just that little symbolic action of casting a vote for Joe Jorgensen, Spike Cohen, as opposed to 37.8% of Americans right now who are not fully vaccinated.
Imagine capturing 50% of that 37%.
And what is it the 3%ers say? They only needed 3% for a revolution. Maybe they really fucked up with this. And maybe this is the ultimate thing to like appreciate from this conversation. Now that we've just taken the time to really step back and look at COVIDism in perspective a little bit right here.
Government doesn't admit it fucks up. Look at weed prohibition.
I don't know what I mean. I mean, strategically, in maintaining their control, they fucked up because they said, hey, libertarians, watch this. We're going to make all the status dance and we're going to make you feel like the outcasts. Then we said, oh, really? Looks like you drew that line in the wrong place on the wrong terms, motherfucker. Because there are a lot more people on our side of it than you thought. And this is going to be a huge accelerant for whatever political force can be the anti-COVID vaccine, anti-COVIDism party.
I'm sure they're shocked that they haven't got 80% or 90% vaccinated yet. I bet whoever's sitting in that big office like, oh my God, we did all the math. This was supposed to work.
You think they really thought they were going to get more people on board?
I think they thought they had the greatest
That's true.
campaign in history going on.
There is an experimental nature of this for them. They don't know. They don't know. We're going to do that. When they pull the dials and run the levers on the machine, it's not a precise machine. And if they're being desperate, then COVID is their desperation, like in the overreach with COVID.
And they had every reason to be desperate. If you remember, January, February 2020, people were taking to the streets by the thousands, by the tens of thousands, all over the globe. Not just in America, it wasn't just Australia, it wasn't just everybody was standing up against their government and saying, answer our questions. We need to know this, or you need to get the fuck out. And of course, that was different for each country, whatever their bigger issue was. And then suddenly, COVID scared everybody in town. I went to Portland not long afterwards. The Portland riots stopped. The BLM riots just stopped because when that all got kicked back up, they did it again. Scared everybody back home.
All right, well, let's get through some news stories before it gets any later. We wanted to start with a local one, actually. I have this from abc15.com. That's ABC 15 Arizona. Domestic violence suspect shot and killed by police in Chino Valley. Starting with my perspective on experiencing this story, I was driving into town. It was yesterday. And into town to me is Ashford. So we go out from our private dirt roads to Bullock to hit the 89. I go north on the 89 towards the 40. And right on this side of the 40, there's a police checkpoint. It looks kind of like a blockade kind of a checkpoint. Not really sure. But I'm like, they were trying to get me for a summons or a warrant or to serve it. Nah.
They just posted by the gas station when we walk in.
Yeah. But then there was one posted by the gas station. I was like, yeah, I'm driving by. You remember, like, I've been a couple times. We're like, yeah. As I went into town, I went to Whatnots. Great folks at our local community center. Without naming names on this one, though, I got the scoop, or at least what she thought was going on. And she said it was actually a female officer who was shot and killed. That's I don't want to start a rumor, but I don't know if that came out of a game of telephone or if that's the story that's being suppressed. So I went to when I figured that out. I went to we're like, why are they blocking the road? So far north. They're blocking it at the 40.
Yeah,
the shooting was at
north of where it happened.
30 miles north of Paulden, the overpass, the Family Dollar, the Paulden Community Center where this happened. And it turns out that checkpoint was actually the one good thing about this.
I think they were trying to tell people
it was a courtesy checkpoint to tell people who are trying to take that. If you're going from like LA to Phoenix, or you're going from like Kingman to Phoenix or Vegas to Phoenix, you take this corner shortcut down the 89 through Paulden, Paulden, Chino Valley, Prescott Valley, and then you cut back with the 17. They're telling they had it blocked off 30 miles south of the 40 on the 89. So they were sending, if
They were like-
that checkpoint wasn't there, they'd be like, whoop, I go back. They're saving people that extra hour drive. So it's actually kind of a courtesy
That's cool.
thing. And so when I went up to it, I said, "Hey, what's happening? I heard the story. Can you let me through if I live in Juniper Wood Ranch?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, turn on Bullock. No problem. You turn on Bullock. Yeah, no problem." It's cool. There was a statey there, and I was like, "Is he gonna get me for the or ask me for the plates thing?" I'm like, "I'm not today."
Not-
Especially when
there's bodies in the concrete.
when I'm driving the Black Pearl back into Juniper Wood Ranch. That nigh uncatchable F-150 is just gonna you're not gonna catch me. No. So yeah, but I went home. It was uneventful. But then I went home and I read the story, and this is the story. But Joey was running errands in Chino Valley right before this, which is just south of where the incident happened. And so she tries to go north, and that's blocked off. And there are no good dirt roads, which is actually surprising there wasn't that
I could
area.
have gone down to Williams and back up, but we're talking 3 hours. I might as well have just gone to Phoenix and hung out.
Right.
You know,
And I was actually kind of surprised that there weren't any sort of dirt road bypasses or
There was.
frontages.
There was one dirt. Well, for old 89, you could get up, and it brought you out at the Depot 89. But then it was closed north of there.
Yeah,
in
so,
another
but that's what I mean.
spot. So
They
it
had part of
didn't
it blocked. Yeah, so
And then there was another road on the left called like Don's Road. Like you could tell it was a road it was a dirt road. So it was somebody made this road, but they're bare hands. But there was a dumpster in the middle of the road, like one of these mini itty bitty blue dumpsters that you can have called out. But it was just plopped right in the middle of the dirt road. Nobody was able to get through. I don't know.
well, so I think that part's probably just
That
someone
was-
defending a semi-private road and saying like,
Probably.
no, I don't want 300 fuckers driving through here right now. I want to keep the pressure on government to clear the scene.
If we were in your
Right.
truck, we could have got around that dumpster, and I think a couple people did, but my van just wasn't going to be able to.
Yeah, okay, so that kind of block. So the story goes, the Yavapai County Sheriff's Office says a suspect is dead, one man is in critical condition, and one person was severely injured after a domestic dispute that led to a shooting involving police in Chino Valley. Chino Valley police responded to a home Tuesday morning after a suspect reportedly assaulted his brother with a hammer and fled the area. Now, this is where the timing is weird because I was going into town at like 3 o'clock, and you were in traffic backed up until what time? 6. And they said that, okay, so this is where the timing is suspect, and we have a couple theories on this, Joey and I. But they basically had this. I'm good to get through the show. They had this road blocked off like all day.
Yeah.
From the time this happened, from like 10:45, 11 until after dark. And with no way around. I mean, the way around is like a 3-hour route, basically. Major inconvenience for a lot of people. So the suspect then allegedly robbed a nearby dollar store, that's the Family Dollar in Paulden, and assaulted the manager. He then drove to the nearby Paulden Community Center. And this is weird because, from what I understand,
You skipped the hammer part.
I said that.
Okay.
Assaulted his brother with the hammer and fled the area. But drove to the nearby Paulden Community Center. It's like it's right across the street. It's like,
It's not a drive thing. It's
I mean,
you
drive
can
from one
spit
parking lot to
on
another.
the-
Yeah,
the
right.
Family
It's
Dollar
one. Yeah.
from
Police say he threatened the occupants with a gun. And already this sounds like a police report, or not a police report, but a police public statement being deliberately obtuse. After leaving the community center, like assaulted with a hammer, assaulted the manager. Why, after leaving the community center, why, and like it threatened the occupants with a gun. That just like begs so many questions. Like,
What does that mean? Does
you
that
could
mean
have with
somebody
one,
was having a mental health breakdown?
or
and
you
he
could have
went
with
and said, "I'm
one
gonna use the gun,"
sentence
and-
answered so many questions. Why are you being weird about this? So again, we have two theories. We'll get to those in a minute. After leaving the community center, YSCO deputies in Chino Valley police found the suspect near a train trestle off State Road 89. So that's just barely south of there, towards Depot 89, where the train tracks go over the freeway, or the State Road 89. Despite warnings from police, the man reportedly raised his gun at the police. Chino Valley officers then fired shots at the man, killing him. The suspect's brother was airlifted to Flagstaff Medical Center with serious injuries. Dollar General Manager was taken to Yavapai Regional Medical Center for his injuries. State Route 89 remains closed from I-40 to Big Chino Road. Northbound is closed at the Paulden Post Office. Police asked drivers to seek alternate routes. It's fucked up because there really aren't any alternate routes.
There aren't.
And
They mentioned that later in the article, actually.
what they had to close was the overpass, which is the one part where you really can't get around because there's concrete barriers that come right up to the 2 lanes of the structure that is the overpass. So first of all, this is why everybody should be, if a libertarian, if not at least actively involved in police reform, pushing back the police, say pushing for more humane treatment of people in general from police and training and de-escalation, because this is not a sane person who's decided to commit to violence or take a risk to some nefarious end.
This is clearly
This is someone who's
mental
lost his
health
mind.
breakdown.
Yeah,
He's
lost his mind. You can't. You can't. You don't have any. It's 2022. I can say that now. It's 2022 now. You don't have anything better than send another human being with a gun and get in his face? Really?
Especially in a small town, like somebody at the police department has to know that guy. Somebody at the police department should have been able to go, Bill,
Doesn't matter.
relax,
Doesn't matter.
you calm down, right? Like
Sniper with a stun dart. I don't want to say, I say poison, but not poison.
no,
Tranquilizer. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
You could zap
like,
them, right? What taser?
Do we not have sniper
Oh,
tranquilizer darts now? Like, yeah, we do. We've had it for a long time. How is it that we still tolerate cops? Oh, there's a guy with a gun who's lost his fucking mind. Let me walk up to him and have it with my gun here. What? We have drones that could drop cargo nets on these people. We have stun guns. We have tasers. We have pepper spray.
Bola guns. I don't think we have those. Bush WTF. I don't think Chino Valley has the budget for the Bola guns yet, but they could.
It doesn't matter because it's cheaper than this. It's cheaper than scraping bodies off the pavement, and that gets to our 2 theories here.
Wait, can I get to what I saw when I was stopped? That was even.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Crazier. So I tried to get around, realized I couldn't. And I'm in the van, so great. Cartoons and bomb hits for an hour. Awesome. And I just pulled on the side of the shoulder because there were a lot of people that were, turning around and deciding this traffic was still moving, even though it was blocked off. But I sat there.
There's miles. Like this is a high traffic road.
Yeah, it's the only way to know. But 2-3 hours passed, and I finally got in touch with you and said, this is just, there's no point. I'm going to hang out till my car appointment in the morning, which was right there. But while I was sitting there, first when I pulled up, you could see like 8 cop cars up ahead. So before I knew what was going on, I thought it was just a really bad accident, maybe a fatal accident or something, Yeah. And that's the most exciting things that happen in this area. But nope, 8 cops wasn't enough. I saw literally 2 to 3 dozen cop cars zoom past me while I was sitting there. And okay, being from Baltimore, we literally had to drive the wrong way up a one-way street as directed by the police to get around the dead body they're investigating. It's like it's not a traffic impeding thing if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, so about that, even if like the shooting happened in this overpass or on this overpass, and this is all the crime scene, can you clear one part of the crime scene on one lane and set up
there's room
within hours? Like, and it happened allegedly at 10:45 in the morning or something.
Yeah, I get 2 miles up this backup though. There are 2 bus loads full of fucking kids, Adam, sitting there since this was 6 o'clock. School gets out at 2, 3. Let's say 4.
So keeping this road blocked is a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
And there's not much.
Their kids, man. Like
there's no, based on the story that they've told, there's no real excuse for it, and there's no real excuse for how much manpower they brought to bear responding to this as an investigation or as a cleanup. Now, rumor that I heard from the version of the story I got at Whatnots again was female police officer shot and killed. They wouldn't be able to completely cover that up at this point, but maybe shot or injured. Maybe there's something else to this. But there are a few possibilities that explain it, and I would appeal to the audience because I'm going to right now basically accuse all the law enforcement involved with shady shit because it's kind of like, or there's only one version of the story that absolves them, right? And there's the last conclusion. I'll start with this one: is that they're just so fucking paranoid when cops shoot someone now that they're gonna make a show of it. We shot someone blocking down the road. We're nothing to see here. We're taking this very seriously. We're investigating. We're gonna hold everybody accountable. We're gonna make sure that every T is I'd and dot is crossed and blah 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 and everything. We're gonna make sure that the roads are shut down. And we're gonna bring in the state agencies and the local federal agents so they sign off and get cleared and blah. And then it's just a series of dumb, clumsy, stupid decisions because they don't have to really be directly accountable for inconveniencing people. That the cost of kids and buses and hours of productivity lost and me not getting to see Joey last night, that's not factored in.
Gail reported to me, good old Gail, Automotive 89.
Yep.
I love those people. They love my band too. She reported that she said she was disheartened to get home on the Paulin Facebook group because she lives up right near there. She couldn't get home. She said her husband called her and was like, "You better leave work early. You're never getting fucked home."
You better stay there.
She said the cops escorted her through a back road to get her back to her house. So that was kind of cool. But she said she gets in the Facebook Paulin groups and everybody was already bitching about how dare they keep the road shut down. This is unacceptable. Her take on it was give them a break. Don't be so nasty.
Well, that's the condition. That's the state. And right. No offense to Gail, if that was her position, but that's the conditioning that we're all trapped in. They're the police. Better give them the benefit. No, better not give them the benefit.
The only benefit of that I'm giving them is shit like this doesn't happen in Chino. And okay, you got to call the big guys in Phoenix and give them 3 hours to show up. This still does not constitute a full day worth of shit.
That was one of the things that I heard is that they were bringing in Phoenix investigators. But even then, it happens. You have within 30 minutes. I mean, say it happens at 11 a.m. Right? Within 30 minutes, the full Chino and police and Yavapai County investigators and even local state highway patrol, Department of Public Safety are there. They figure it out within 30 minutes. Hey, we got to call in the guys who are in Phoenix.
We can't handle this.
Right. And we because the road, we have to block off the road because there's blood spatters on both lanes of the 89 right here under the underpass. And apparently there's some rumor there was some car accident with a vehicle. Well, they would have cleaned it up completely by then, right? So
no.
But even then, okay, that gets you to 2 o'clock, right? Hold on, 11. Let's go through the timeline. Sometimes.
Most of the time.
Well, maybe now they don't want to.
Seen it a lot.
But see, this is the modern era of police actually being afraid of public scrutiny. So they do, especially if it's a cover-up.
That's a big bloody spot in a Safeway parking lot, man, a grocery store parking lot.
This is the other thing about it being a cover-up, right? Think about this.
Okay.
So we're going through give them the benefit of the doubt possibility. So it's 11 o'clock. The local boys call the Phoenix guys. They get, we got to pack our bags in 30 minutes, but we'll be there. Maybe they're there at 2, 3 o'clock. There's some delays. But once they get there, a couple hours, 5, it should be cleared. So when did you actually turn around?
Well, it was clear by then, but they had only opened up one lane of traffic up in Paulden,
it wasn't really clear.
It wasn't
so when they said it was cleared at 4, it was probably just the car accident site that was lower south. That might have been connected with the incident, might have been one after the incident, right? It might have been a product of the traffic control.
And you're right. You know what? When the horde of cops was driving past me, that was about 3 o'clock. So that makes time in your timeline.
Right, something like that. It was like a second wave of the first wave was rope it off. We don't know.
And then the chopper came at 5 to airlift. That ended up being a shock truck. They were airlifting the guy who got hit with a hammer off, supposedly.
At 5 p.m.?
That's what I'm like. What do you?
6 hours later?
He's sitting there bleeding out or assaulted with a hammer Did some dude like hit his
No.
brother in the arm and bruise
No,
him? Like, what is
'cause,
the
the other
extent of
story,
this
the
assault?
other, remember, so he did get airlifted. It couldn't have been 6 hours later.
Yeah.
No,
what
the
was
story
that
said he got
chopper?
airlifted to Flagstaff, and another story I read about this said that he had life-threatening injuries from the hammer assault, and that the dollar store manager had non-life-threatening injuries. That's why he only went to Yavapai Regional.
Yeah, so that couldn't have been that. It was
Ooh.
a
So there's a whole other layer of the story that hasn't been revealed, but here's where it gets to the more likely explanations than the sort of benign one, is that there was some malfeasance by the officers who showed up on the scene. Either shooting first, questions second. She shot a guy with a hammer, and then tried to plant a gun on him, and maybe that was the delay, and maybe that was a real investigation. And see, here's what
they'd have to
this.
fix that before
So
police-
this sounds like a shady thing, but now that I think about it, it's actually a very positive, hopeful thing. Say, possible, local officers tried to do a cover up, but one or two of them said, "No, I'm not going along with this. We got to get someone else involved now because you triggered something else." And I, you know what? I don't know. I can't do anything. I got to
small
call.
town cops are more likely to be like, no, fuck you, I'm not doing this cover up here. I think.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that because you immediately had 3 different agencies. Usually cover-ups require it to be within one agency or one department.
Yeah. No,
Right?
it can't be covered.
Guys who know each other.
Right.
Cross-agency covering for people in a situation like this, much less likely, because then you're not asking you're kind of asking a stranger or someone who's not a coworker, "Hey man, you're law enforcement too. Cover my ass because I just murdered this guy."
See, that's the
They're
thing,
not
though.
going to take that
Unfortunately,
liability.
That is the thing. That brother.
It happens. No, it happens, but it's a lot harder now. And in this age of police scrutiny, when it's Arizona Department of Public Safety, Highway Patrol, it's Yavapai County Sheriff's, and it's
Phoenix,
Chino Police.
and Chino and
Those 3 agencies coming together with a shooting in Paulden, unless it's clear cut and straightforward and it gets cleaned up right away, there's going to be they're not going to cover for each other.
And you're right. The gun shows up out of nowhere too. By the way, hammer
Assault that doesn't mention a gun,
with hammer,
but then
mystery
threatening
assault,
with a
then
gun.
threat with a gun.
And here's, you know what, Joey, thank you for pointing that out, because now I feel like we're going to be the conspiracy theorists proven right on this later, right? Is that the Paulden Community Center, as I recall, it's like, huh?
There will be people in there that have guns. So maybe the guy.
Not just that, no. On a Tuesday morning, there's nobody there. There's nobody there. Like, it may be 1 or 2 people, but it'd be really easy for them to insert a false witness. Well, then he came in and waved a gun at me. What are or 2 people say, "What is this?"
$1,000, Ed.
Threatened the occupant. Police say he threatened the occupants with a gun. What, the 1 or 2 people who on a Tuesday are like filing, like the Poland, it's a community center where they have, like community organization meetings weekday and evenings.
Yeah, they might have a knitting
Mostly.
class there.
Yeah, it's that kind of place.
Yeah, they might have.
They don't even do like
They don't even do that there.
yard sales or
Population of Alden. It's not.
It's tiny. Yeah. They do regional, like remember the Yavapai County zoning for this whole region they did in the Paulden Community Center. But I think it's like one big room with a couple bathrooms and like an office in the back. Like, who's hanging out at the Paulden Community Center Tuesday morning? Hardly anybody.
I didn't know that's community center because I go to the hardware store today, which is right behind where the shooting happened. 205 is the answer. There are 205 people living in Paulden.
There's the whole population. So the
population.
community center it's one building. Like, there's nobody, like, unless there, but waved a gun, threatened the occupants. 2 people. They had to plant 2 witnesses.
That's easy.
And if they're standing by this story, makes me wonder if they succeeded in the cover up, or if they're putting out a weird, obtuse message as they fight over what do we do with the first attempted cover up here. There's something way more to the story that does involve the final physical altercation at the freeway overpass. So I'm going to be the Alex Jones of the Chino Valley, or the Paulden shooting. What are we going to call this incident? We don't even know the guy's name. But yeah, there's at least going to be some news stories coming out about this. if only as a matter of like
Okay, wait.
security for ourselves, we're gonna want to know. So we'll keep you updated.
Here's News 12 with a different story.
Oh,
It was just updated this morning. So they published this originally yesterday afternoon, 2:39, and they republished or updated it on 5:30 tonight. Chino Valley police officers fatally shot a man Tuesday after he allegedly assaulted his brother, attacked another man with a hammer, and robbed a retail store. So now the hammer doesn't show up until the community center, and it wasn't the brother in this article.
well, when I hear or see in print brother attack,
Okay, 50-year
airlifted with life-threatening injuries, I think it's hard to get that wrong. You know what I mean?
we have a name.
Okay.
53-year-old Carl Schade, Shaede, who's also a registered sex offender, they say.
That'll drive you crazy if you're. We talked about this because out here we do see these notices. There's one on the bulletin board, and you get put on blast as a sex offender, and then you read the fine print, and it goes, and you go, this guy might have been an 18-year-old dating a 17-year-old, and now everywhere he moves, they're gonna put this thing on. They put his face next to sex offender on the bulletin boards in his community. Oh man, that could drive you nuts, or push you over the edge, right? If that's the case. But if he's really a legitimate sex offender, like assault, whatever, then maybe he was already crazy from that. What is it? What's the story there?
It doesn't
Which one is it? Which one of those is it?
Yeah.
Doesn't say, of course.
There's really no more information.
But see, that makes me think they're demonizing him then.
Well, now they say YCSO said the suspect then traveled to Paulding Community Center armed with a gun, allegedly made threats to the center's visitors. Doesn't say threats with a gun, just says threats. So yeah, I'm still seeing somebody who just lost his mind and running around his small town going, "I fucking hate you, I hate you, I'm
Right.
lost my mind." Like, yeah, there's
Either way, there is something being covered up, which is we shot a crazy guy and we didn't have to.
that's normal.
That's every day in America.
Like the statists agree with that. Well, they were doing it for everybody else's safety because he might have ran off and killed somebody, and I can't argue that reality. And that's one of the places where
tranquilizers. You better have a tranquilizer gun.
That's one of the places I sat on the fence as a kid.
You
we
better.
didn't have that stuff, but we are living in
There's no way.
2022.
No way. No way. Like we have no way. Like
there are so many ways. You take out monkeys with tranquilizer guns.
We have armored vehicles. Cops have armored vehicles and crazy things to kill people with, and they don't have a fraction of the resources to contain crazy people without killing them.
We're definitely prioritizing things.
And this, again, like something everybody should care about, because anybody can be poisoned or drugged or hit themselves on the head and be made crazy. Could be he got the wrong prescription.
Yep.
Could be his doctor or the pharmacist put the wrong pill in the wrong bottle, and there was an interaction.
Now this guy's
and
dead.
You know what? That could have been you. Could have been you. Could have been you got the roofie instead of somebody else, and it interacted with your drugs instead of making you pass out. It made you go on a mini rampage, and then cop goes, "Well, I could reach for the taser, but I'll just reach for the gun because that's my legal incentive." So I don't know if this story is going to be any more than that. If it looks sort of run-of-the-mill reasonable, maybe there's no point to following up much. But I kind of like this the way that I like my case in Saguache County. As well, now we can hold you to a higher. Maybe this is a chance to hold you to a higher standard. What you got, dear?
Okay, another article. AD Central. Kristen Green, agency spokesperson, said the spree began at Shade's home on Bourbon Alley, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Shade repeatedly struck a 44-year-old man in the head with a hammer and then struck his own 54-year-old brother with a gun. Now they're putting the gun in the house. And this is the first.
But it's a different person than who was attacking.
This is all weird.
Well, we will at least be following up. If there's more to this, we'll come back to it next week.
Guy survived after emergency surgery, the hammer.
Yeah.
Brother suffered only minor injuries. He's the guy who got hit with the gun, apparently.
All right. So, related story, CBS Baltimore making Joey proud of her hometown.
Super happy.
Inmate set multiple fires at Baltimore prison,
Good
officials
boy.
say.
Good job.
Yeah. There's some
job.
civil disobedience. Inmates set at least 5 fires in a Baltimore prison Sunday evening, according to the office
There were deaths,
of
unfortunately.
the state fire marshal. More than 30 people were treated for smoke inhalation. Doesn't say anybody died. People died?
Okay, maybe I'm imagining that. Good job, guys. This is children's battle shit. I like it.
So is this a prison revolt or is what's really going on here?
The
Why
prison revolt.
why Baltimore?
Baltimore sucks. Look, I've never been locked up in Baltimore, but I know people who have. It's just terrible. It's terrible, terrible, terrible.
I mean, I've been in some shitty jails, and I've heard Baltimore's like worse than DC.
They finally shut down the one prison. So when you're coming on the 83 right into the city where it's all big and there's all this money and infrastructure and like, there's this prison. You can see the windows are like this big, right? And these people have to look through, and you can see them as you're driving in. And it's this big, beautiful medieval castle that nobody who's driving into Baltimore realizes
It's a prison.
it's a prison that looks like an old medieval castle and like this torturous environment that's everybody just thinks it's some old landmark or some shit. They finally shut that prison down not long ago, maybe 10 years ago. It hasn't been that long. For inhumane treatment, built a new one. But you know, apparently they're not doing too great at the new ones. I want to know how they got a hold of the fire. So
Well-
there's the first failure.
Well, so I've had fire in jail before. Remember, I smoked a joint in, but actually that was without fire. That was lighting. So for that,
Okay,
we took two batteries on the metal stool and 2 little broken pieces of razor
Did you get a battery?
and touch from your radio.
Did you have
Touch the
radio?
like little
I wasn't. No, we didn't have radios.
yeah. It was
Oh,
a
no.
commissary item.
Oh no, we
And
were
he
even
took-
have
take
a fucking
2
TV
little-
remote.
Broken pieces of razor blade and touch them together till they glow orange, and then light your joint on that. That was how I did it. But actually lighting fires in a jail seems like I mean, it's all steel and cement. Like, where is there enough combustible material? Like in the library, you're burning books. You know, I mean, it's. But you know what this
And
reminds
literally
me of?
all this article says, by the way, to
Yeah,
our viewers,
I know,
the one
it's-
sentence Adam read is
Yeah, it's
that's the
yeah.
article.
So, but it makes me think that as they are desperate now, there's this growing sense of don't take a plea, fight back. You know, like they really can't get you if they can't win at a jury trial, and they can't right now. So fuck them. And I hope it's part of that. I hope there's some anyway. A few more stories.
Here's more.
Oh, yes.
3 detainees, 1 correctional officer were taken to the hospital for treatment. EMS crews reportedly figuring out which hospitals have capacity. Well, oh my God, it's turning it into a COVID narrative. This article's turning into a COVID narrative over
Ventilators and smoke inhalation and it's because you unvaccinated people are all
According to police, fire started inside a jail cell on the 5th floor just before 8 p.m. Initial reports say that a mattress caught fire, spreading the blaze to the building.
those mattresses are so thin. It's not like what? At least the jails that I've been in. All right, a few more stories.
This is a building where people are all being held awaiting trial. Do you want to know how many inmates they have?
Uh-oh.
500.
Yeah.
500
It's a
people
county jail.
sitting,
Yeah.
waiting for a trial.
Yeah, and I should point this out too. You know, certain things that I've come to appreciate from the time that I've spent incarcerated, especially in DC and general population when I was there for 2 months. There are some dudes who are just getting tossed around by the system in the awaiting trial phase for years. It's not unheard of for a lot of guys in county to be doing. The county and the DAs and prosecutors are just holding them. They are torturing them. You know. For years, going, well, we'll bring this. Well, we'll bring this. Well, here's another charge. Well, here's another charge. Well, we'll delay your trial for this. Well, if you want to go to trial, we got to do this. And
it's
if you get a speedy trial,
1,000th day. It still hasn't been a trial.
It's Snowden.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but he's exiled. He's avoiding trial.
This also says statement about the fire issue. They mentioned a string of recent assaults on staff members, so it's been brewing in there. This is not like this fire just didn't happen.
Yeah, no, assaults on jail staff are not products of thoughtful criminal enterprise being carried out in jail. They're the product of people losing their minds. You don't attack a guard in jail because you're selling drugs. Like that's why you don't. That's when you don't fuck with them. All right, a few more stories. We want to get to our promos and wrap this up and smoke weed every day. Bloomberg Business Week. All those 23andMe spit tests were part of a bigger plan. CEO Ann Wojcicki wants to make drugs using insights from millions of customer DNA samples and doesn't think that should bother anyone.
This was also on the conspiracy theorist list. There should be like conspiracy theory like pool now, right? And there should be some online where you throw money down like the death pool. There should be conspiracy.
Okay, but let me kind of play devil's advocate on this because I'm kind of in favor of this from a scientific point of view.
I love the DNA test.
Right? Like
but
we
I just don't
should.
trust people.
Well, what's the problem? Was there something deceptive about this?
No,
Like
I just couldn't afford it. I would have gotten. I priced out 23andMe the other day, and they're running a great deal. And that's
how
awesome.
much?
And
How much for their basic test?
$49.
We should do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you know what?
We're
If
gonna
you
use
have
my
DNA,
genetic
what
data.
the fuck
Like,
are you gonna do with it? Like, you make a clone? I'm flattered.
I mean, I kind of want you to pay for it or be and disclose it, but they're not. Sounds like they're not being secretive about it.
No, and if they want my DNA, I go to the doctor. If they want to like covertly steal our shit, they can. I don't know if it's a big deal to me.
So, I'm excited for this. There are some weird issues with corporatism and privacy happening with this, but if anything, it's being covered in Bloomberg Business Week. I think this is kind of trying to set it up to soften it. Like it shouldn't bother anyone. Like let's make a controversy out of a little thing so that you go, oh, that's not a big deal, and it makes you more sympathetic with this major company that they've got some kind of corporate interest in. But either way, I'm excited for what this represents as humanity escaping the grip of pharmaceutical companies as we know them today. And just that we have a specific strain of corporatism entrenched with big pharma that is holding us back from meeting our potential in so many ways. Psychedelics and the drug wars really, honestly, I don't want to say a small part of it, but maybe just a minority fraction compared to like, hey, how much better would just even with that, I don't know, I'll keep going like, cannabis is legal now, right? No, but even just holistic medicine and things that can't be patented as opposed to the patented fevered, big pharma, keep people dependent, sell treatments, not cures mentality. Even dealing with obesity and chronic diseases. Like if I could say one or the other right now, let me put it this way. If you could snap your fingers and solve obesity or snap your fingers and give every American access to psilocybin, I would obesity first in a heartbeat. Right?
Yeah, that takes more lives.
I mean, if it's we're gonna get to do both eventually. It's not exclusively one or the other, but it's like you end obesity or give everybody full access to whatever psychedelic drugs they want. Yeah, end obesity first. Sorry. So I know the other option sounds more fun, especially for those who aren't currently overweight. Get to benefit from Adam's magical end obesity ray. So the significant development, it's like it's sort of like with oil and gas being so entrenched and so corporate is like one of our big examples, right? And now we see solar and wind and off-grid power and blah, blah, blah coming up as alternative energy sources. They are up against the entrenchment. But at some point, like a wave, they go over the berm and wash it away. And it just doesn't exist anymore because it's laughably not viable at the point where the next technology is overwhelmingly better. Right now, the next technology is cannabis. Right now, the main thing is cannabis. But doing pharmaceuticals right. And if 23andMe is part of that, well, I'm not. I'm not going to complain that
I don't. hate
some people
science.
checked the wrong box. So Joey, part of the story says it was the customers who checked the box. There's a box that you can say you can use my genetic material for research.
So
Would
then
you
it
check
wasn't-
it? Would you check it? You're talking about right. This is a question in front of you right now.
And you know what? Maybe this is my ego. I haven't burst through yet because I don't even have organ donor on my license.
Oh,
I have
I'm
this
proud of
weird,
my
like,
organ
no,
donor
it's
designation.
mine, like idea,
No.
which doesn't make sense to me.
No,
Either, so
check the box. Get over that shit. For me,
I don't. I don't even understand why I do it.
all right, we got a few minutes to see if anybody wants to change my mind. We're gonna get through these last couple stories and then promotions and be done. Daily Beast, thedailybeast.com, religious sect burning shed focus of deadly Colorado fire investigation. When I saw this, I was thinking, like, is this the cult in Saguache County with the dead lady that they were worshiping? No, it's a different Colorado cult.
These guys don't sound terrible.
Someone was comparing this, like, oh, do we have in the producer school? Was this another Jonestown thing?
Yeah, wait,
No.
Look, it might be okay here, and this is from a media standpoint and the police. You guys, we located the source of the fire. We're going to deal with these human beings individually in court. That's all you're going to say. You don't have to mention their religion and their cult. That is the media, and this is these people. So that's where I'm like, no, there's no reason for that. There's no reason for that. The headline, the story does not need to include their religion.
Yeah, so Daily
they
Beast
started a fire like that
is really political, right? Daily Beast goes this far to this paragraph. In 2018, the Southern Poverty Law Center's intelligence report warned the sect was potentially dangerous.
Based on what?
Beneath the surface lies a tangle of doctrine that teaches its followers that slavery was a marvelous opportunity for Black people who are deemed by the Bible to be servants of whites, and that homosexuals deserve no less than death. You know, a lot of people interpret the Christian Bible that way.
That sounds like the Christian church.
Yeah, and it's like
not all of y'all, but I've met that Christian.
no. Now they are apparently anti-gay, and so they're very weirdly they are a weird religious sect of traditional shit that I totally disagree with. If this is anywhere near accurate.
What does that have to do with the fire?
Sheriff Pell addressed images on social media of the burning shed. The fire originated somewhere in that neighborhood, he said during the Monday press conference. There was a viral video that was posted of a shed on fire. We don't know that the shed started the fire, whether it was secondary. I mean, it's one of those stories where they have to get it out because they can't just cover it up completely. But they try to get it out in such a way, and this reminds me of the Hurley shooting. Well, we're going to investigate. We're going to hold everybody accountable. We'll get back with you. A week later. Oh, we'll get back with you. A week later. Oh, we'll get back with you. 2 months later. No one's paying attention. Oh, we've released our report and found that we've done nothing wrong. Colorado Governor Jared Polis said it may take months to determine the true cause of the extensive blaze. Quote, what's most important is getting it right, Polis said Monday. So whether it takes a week, a month, or 2 months, getting it right is the most important. That's why you're the governor.
We want to get it right, so we're going to make assumptions in every single media press release that we make. Yeah. We want to get it right.
So another fun I told you so COVID story. This from newswars.com to Canuckistan.
Canuckistan? Quebec
to ban unvaccinated from buying marijuana and hard liquor.
Canada. Come visit us in Gardenia. That's all I got.
Really?
Free Gardenian citizenship for all Canadians. Can we decree that as a thing?
Yeah. Well, I guess, fun thing, just another project. If we had someone who wanted to be prime minister of Gardenia and really take charge of all the opportunities for sovereignty. Gosh, that Fruitopia strain smells so good.
But
maybe it's because
the Canadian government's always had some authoritarian undertones.
I've been smoking this candy apple. That's still really. It's just this. I'm like immune to this smell, and now I'm gonna have to hit your bond.
No weed for the so they're telling Canadians if they don't do drugs, they can't have drugs.
Basically. Meanwhile, according to normal.org, Montana. I don't know why you're so excited about this story, but
I want to stay in Montana for a length of time, and I feel less paranoid about it. That's why.
Montana it's really cold.
In the summer. I want to go in the summer. Do you know how many awesome hikes there are in Montana? Look, for somebody who's an outdoor junkie like me, for those of you who don't know, I've gone on 5-day walking hikes in the
Have you
mountains.
walked everywhere in
Where I
Arizona?
walk, I camp, I walk, I camp. Me and Nico do this. I love exploring places where not many other people's feet have touched.
We should do that with the dogs. We should do a legit backpacking trip.
I am so down to back.
I've never, honestly, I don't think I ever have. Just like I'm gonna carry and camp and carry and camp and walk.
You don't
Like,
need a lot.
I don't think I've ever done that.
You don't need a lot.
I mean, if you go in good weather and can sleep under the stars and you plan so that you're in like amicable terrain,
Yeah.
sleeping
And
bag,
shit, these dogs, we can load them down with half the stuff we'd have on
Oh.
them anyway.
we could make them carry a decent amount of weight.
Yes,
for
sir,
them.
we can.
And they don't
And,
need,
and most
or
of
at least
these
make them
hikes
carry
you
them.
plan it out
food.
too. If you get online, I've always, when I've done overnight hikes, you find a hike, a trail, where there's a natural stream. So you know by the time you get X amount of miles,
It's hard. You make it hard to
you'll be
get
able to fill
lost.
more water, so you don't have to keep
You-
yourself bogged down with water.
Oh, okay. So
You
you're
can
not
fill your
carrying
water.
water too. Okay. Well, I'd even be willing to do some hikes in Arizona. I mean, just like 2 or 3 nights, and get out there like that. That's how we should do our reading vacations. That's how we should do our reading vacations, actually. So, quick sidebar on this. I mean, was there anything else to the Montana story, like why that's
No,
significant or anything?
they recreational sales started January 1st.
Well, I guess the one bigger significant point is that it might be an example of a boom state where this is a real funny dynamic
Coming late,
of
we're gonna have a better.
cannabis legalization, that liberal states went medical recreational first on paper, and conservative states took longer to cross that line. But when conservative states crossed that line, like Oklahoma, because they had a culture of not putting up with economic bullshit or regulation or stifling of business licenses, they became, boom areas and really exploded. And then that's just so funny because what's going to end up happening is customers in liberal states are going to be buying weed. Like it's been California and Colorado and Washington like exporting weed to conservative states. That
Yeah.
might flip the other way
It
around
already
because
has.
it's gonna. Oh my gosh!
That's
really?
why I got approached in Oklahoma was my Colorado tags. I mean, the cop was even said that we got cartel.
No, we got people from Colorado
People
coming
are
to buy
buying
weed in
weed in Oklahoma
Oklahoma.
and taking it to Colorado now. Yep, that's the thing.
Government makes people do so many dumb things.
Yeah. Yeah, that cop thought I
Ugh.
came on a dispensary spree in Oklahoma. Fuck you.
Well, I
I'm not
wanted,
a
I wanted to,
dispenser anyway,
I wanted
stupid.
to point out one of the things that came sidebar on my jail reading. I read the 7 habits of highly effective people, and it's what the title says. I don't want to call it self-help. It's not like help me. It's just like become more effective. Identify these basic habits, and one of them is sharpen the saw. And it's not just take care of yourself, but sort of always be growing, always be learning. And one of the epiphanies too that I've had recently about my family and how my values are different from most in my family. That one of the things I really and Joey, this came out of Thanksgiving, because all of our family Thanksgivings have been just bullshit mainstream American exercises and indulgence of sit and eat as much as you can in a day and watch football and
Not all of ours.
that kind of bullshit. No, my family. And then Joey and I gave away weed to homeless people and panhandlers on Thanksgiving instead. And it was like, and then had Indian takeout in her van. Actually, that was the only part I regretted, is that we spent so much on dinner. And it was like $60 for like a
Indian is
luxurious
expensive.
takeout with
But
leftovers. But that was our
I always
luxurious
spend money on Indian
Thanksgiving
food. That is
feast.
helping a family of like 12. I'm not.
For $1 a day.
Dude.
No, it made me think, like, what is it that I've appreciated about vacations and family time? It's not, well, we waddled from one meal to another in some cool location. It's when we had time to connect and to learn and to grow together. And I think that's, you think about what is a conscious vacation. It's not, well, I earned my break. Fuck you. I'm taking a break. It's, no, I'm taking time to shift gears, to get away from things, to relax. And to relax is an active thing. It is a conscious thing to choose to relax, right? To choose to deactivate things that in their default state are otherwise activated.
I'm
Right?
kind of stuck in that.
The indulgence mode. But instead, think of it as conscious recharging, conscious sharpening the saw. So Joey and I have at least committed to the intent of, instead of taking any kind of indulgence vacations and trying to like periodically get away for the sake of
I want to go to
something
the
like
beach
that.
and go get drunk in a bunch of
Yeah, like
20-year-old and no
Like,
interest
no.
in doing that. I want to go to a beach and wake up early and watch the sunrise over said beach.
Well,
And
I want to read all day,
books.
like and educate and have enriching experiences. So
Take a hike and turn this goddamn thing off. And
going for an actual backpacking trip, carrying a handful of books, and just going from spot to spot to read. No?
That's a day hike. No, man, books get heavy. If you're gonna take a multi-day hike, it's a lot of weight.
Okay, so
Okay, you can
Kindles.
commit to that. I
Kindle.
will.
You can carry a Kindle
I'm gonna charge your
and
Kindle.
with a little battery pack.
Okay.
I'll carry your battery pack, and you can carry the Kindle. No, we have a little solar charger now. A little solar charger with a USB out of it. There you go, Jared. No, but I like that format. Maybe you're less focused on the backpacking part, but even on a hiking trip like that, you're spending most of your time sitting in one place, not actually walking. I mean, you're walking for a few hours a day, right? You're not doing like, well, you could. I know you and Miko did some
4 or
hardcore
6
hikes.
hours a day.
Okay, but
you're stopping and taking the scenery in. and,
right,
like,
but we could make it a fun thing and where you're only hiking 2 or 3 hours a day, going to a new spot in order to relax and spend most of the day reading.
yeah, those long hikes I've done, it's just been me and Miko.
I think that's a cool way of doing our reading.
Which is dangerous as fuck, by the way. Don't go hiking by yourself. I'm batshit crazy.
All right.
That's my mother.
Last news story here is and this is a weird way of sourcing it. But this is from @angry_staffer on Twitter. It says these Hannity texts are pretty damning. I don't even know who this is, but this is the letter that they sent to Sean Hannity from the Congressman Bernie G. Thompson and Liz Cheney, chairman and vice chair of the Select Committee to investigate January 6th. And they're saying that this text from Sean Hannity, we can't lose the entire White House counsel's office. I do not see January 6th happening the way he is being told. After the January 6th, he should announce will lead nationwide effort to reform voting integrity. Go to Florida and watch Joe mess up daily. Stay engaged when he speaks. People will listen. And I turned Joey's insight into a tweet today. And I think he did pretty well. But just imagine if they put as much effort into figuring out what happened on 9/11 as they did about January 6th. And a lot of
10
people
minutes into 9/11, they're like, let's go bomb the brown people.
No, but a lot of people called me out right away on the short comings of that. Oh wow, that got 130 retweets. That's a lot for me. It was, can you imagine what would happen if they put the same effort into figuring out what happened on 9/11 as on 1/6? Now, because they are putting in a huge effort, and I think it's a lot of show effort. And they're saying there because there were so many hundreds of people there, they're still untangling and they're still searching for fugitives because there are people wearing masks and they're like they're doing security footage, like following them from here to here to here, like all those little things with January 6th, right? Whereas you're right with 9/11, they have the 9/11 Commission report and then stamp, no more investigation, seal the documents.
Bomb brown people, nothing to see here.
But it's one of the things that I said in that statement that was wrong, sort of in perspective, but making a rhetorical point, is effort into figuring out, like they, them, those know what happened on 9/11. Do I know what happened on 9/11? No, but I know the government was lying. I know that it was either that it was I think I can say with certainty it was an inside job to some extent. It might have been as little as let it happen on purpose. It might have been as big as made it happen on purpose. But at very least, there was some complicity involvement from the U.S. government on 9/11. They, them, those know that. And again, this is not super conspiracy, crazy shit. This is like someone in government. It's not like the whole government. It's not like although George W.
No, they compartmentalize.
But I'm not accusing everybody in government knew, but it could have been one person, one rogue actor in government. Somehow. Maybe Dick Cheney got NORAD to stand down. I don't pretend to be an expert on this, but when I did the research, I came to that reasonable conclusion. What happened on 1/6? It's not that they're putting the effort into figuring out what happened. It's that they're putting in this massive political effort.
Public shame.
That's yes. and it's that's what it is, and it's the reason that
Well,
tweet
and
went
even with this
so
Hannity
well.
thing, did you happen to read the texts?
I read just that one.
Yeah, they sound like he's heard the same
Was it only
gossip
11?
everybody else was hearing a week before January 6th. And he was sending the same text everybody else was saying, like, holy shit. Well, and the only thing that they maybe have the right to question about is he said he talked to President Trump directly.
I don't
But
care if they have a
I
right to
don't
question or
care.
not. I mean, they really don't, and it's
It's-
obviously political grandstanding. So let's bring in Sean Hannity.
I'm not
We're
a
gonna
huge
blow this thing
Hannity
up.
fan, but they are coming after him for no good goddamn
So
reason. on this shit.
This makes me hopeful that this thing is going to kind of blow up on them. And again, the big part of the narrative that I want to keep in mind that's so important right now, and yes, we're going to wrap up. This is the last story. There's this whoosh. The intelligence industry can pull up just about anything that can be imagined.
And they have.
Fair enough.
And they have.
So I have this fantasy all of a sudden that Sean Hannity is going to be in this congressional hearing and somehow magically successfully tell them to go fuck themselves and be a champion of skepticism of government. And maybe only in the moment because he's being set up for that. You know, he's going to respond to that
Sean Hannity was
incentive.
very fuck government back in the Rock Hall days.
He's willing to put on that mask if
Depends on
it
the
serves
person.
his personal interests. If the Democrats are setting him up to be that good guy because they've gone too far being the bad guys, I pray that Sean Hannity can step up and in that moment be the best good guy that he can and make the point that people like us want him to make, that would get everybody's attention and expose this whole thing as bullshit. But I'm not holding my breath for Sean Hannity. With that, that is the end of our show. Time to wrap things up. Let's get Jim up on here to do producer notes, and then I'll do the stuff he forgot. Well, let's smoke weed. I need your bomb here.
You need
T.me/Adam versus Man. That's the Telegram channel that you should be part of. Patreon.com/Adam versus Man. That's how you can financially support the show. HomeFrontBattleBuddies.org, excuse me, is how you can contribute to the Veterans Nonprofit Organization. And
Every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
to the next episode.
All right, that bong is awesome. I want to get it's like what you got for $10, and it's manufactured glass, but it's got the nice slide and down stem and like such great weight and color. It's just like, yeah, manufacturers at that point, you get awesome stuff. I'm a geek for the detailed ergonomics of personal gear like that, and Joey got like a perfect bong. It is, for what it is, a perfect bong. And we are going to be on Saturday in Denver, where mushrooms are decomposed. Anybody want to do mushrooms with me this Saturday? Let's do some mushrooms. Yeah, Community Share Fest, 8th annual. And I wish I knew more about who exactly is behind this. I have a lot of reasons for going. It's a really cool event, 12 hours in and out. Be hashtag Kokesh free, that free. Be so free that you're Adam fucking Kokesh. But yeah, this is January 8th, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. This is an overnight event. I should have pointed that out. Driving back.
It's like old school rave style. I'm so
kind of, yeah.
stoked.
It's like, I mean, I'm kind of making fun of it, but it's like a drum circle, but with good music that goes all night and with really good drugs. So I don't plan on making an all-nighter out of this. We have the van. We can go like nap and like get up to pee and party in the middle of the night. Ryan, that's how we do it here. Ryan Walter, can I bring my Les Paul and Marshall stack to the drum circle? I have delay pedal, so it sounds all trippy. You know what?
All it has, man.
I don't know what. Like I said, it's a 12-hour event.
No, there's musical guests that are booked.
They might have an open mic.
Exactly.
I think there's an open mic
The whole open mic room.
part of this. Let's see. I have the schedule on Telegram with because Bruce Bauman. So yeah, there are a lot of people with the We Are Change Colorado crew involved. So I'm really excited to go for them. All right, here's the schedule. There's it starts with Hero Hurley Hour. So I don't know what that entails, but some kind of memorial
So we need to be there.
for Johnny O. So we're planning on being there like on time. Like we're gonna be the old people in the early crowd for this one. All right, kids. We'll help kick things off. We'll
We'll
be
take a nap.
we'll be
back with you at 2
we'll-
a.m.
we'll
kid.
be smoking grass in the back. Keeping an eye on y'all cool kids with the crazy stuff up front. Yeah. 7 p.m. opening ceremony. And then it is scheduled performances. It looks like all the way through 4 a.m.
It's not. It's just gonna rock all day.
So it's like a bunch of really cool local, and these are people like Elias Clay, I know, Burnt MD we've had on this show. And these are like really good amateur local musicians that are doing like really cool funky.
And it's like a mesh of
stuff.
genres too. It's not
Yeah.
even like this, like
No, it's super
rigid
creative,
wall.
super
This is gonna be
creative
great.
stuff.
And it's at Acrobat
Yeah.
Studio. The place that it's at is this huge Acrobat.
So there might be places to physically
might be.
play around too. Yeah. There's a band, I don't know anything about them, I don't think, called Freedom Movement. Words I've used a lot. Illuminati Congo. Don't know them either. I know Guy Experiment, though, Elias Clay, Burnt MD. And that's it. And then it's like a dozen I don't know.
Whatever. That's fun. I saw a great I don't know band and they gave me a free T-shirt. Oh, it's fun.
I hope Bruce is going to do some performance too. I have a feeling from the nature of this, there's going to be a lot of like in between open mic times and people just going like, "Hey, can I get up and read a poem in between sets?" And like I said, it's just like it's like a drum circle, but with talent and more instruments.
It's a music festival.
It's a mini.
We call it.
It's a
music
mini
festival.
activist community music festival.
It's a music.
Right. With a great group of people coming together. So we'll be there January 8th. I hope I'm not like making fun of it in any way to like dispel people from coming. You can
Colorado. It's gonna be
tickets available at the door, cash, crypto, and it's suggested donation for your cover of $33 to $99.
and they encourage
So-
sharing things with your friends there.
Yeah.
All kinds of things.
Yeah. So
Things.
a lot of what I have been talking about recently with the Gardenia Sovereignty Project and psilocybin mushrooms and alternative therapies and everything else, we want to walk where we are crossing legal lines and managing liability in a thoughtful way. Our intent, of course, is never to violate anybody's rights or hurt anybody or commit any actual crimes. We are committing victimless crimes, which are not real crimes, and managing that liability thoughtfully. We don't want to go to jail. Like, I mean, I'm willing to, and I will when it's productive and it's the right thing to do. But I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to do serious
have to
time.
go to jail because
Um,
whether or not we're breaking the law is all up to the language we use. You notice how the share test is.
Well,
a
but my
donation?
point with this, let me finish this point before I forget, is that because this is about why you should come hang out with us at Share, is that anytime we are managing that liability, inherently that conversation around it might involve mentioning things that go way over that line. You go, no, but you want to discuss it without being afraid of it being recorded and misinterpreted or used against you. So private off the record conversations are going to be happening this weekend, where in the land of decrim psilocybin, Denver and Denver County. All right, so dear, your last thoughts before we sign off.
I'm stoked. I'm ready to get in the fan. Just gotta go now. But it's too cold up there. Or else I would.
Yeah, I know we're doing this in and out. Colorado sucks right now for what? Sorry, people. Yeah, we're gonna have our warm van in the parking lot, and we're gonna be inside, and that's it. Oh, and we're donating blood. Last plug.
Blood donation, maybe a hot spring stop. I don't know. Maybe we leave ShareFest and go to Saguache.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, going through Saguache County on the way home just to see. I mean, I kind of want to like public like.
No, we aren't, my van. No, we're gonna stay on the. We're not going through Saguache.
I kind of want to actually publicly say, "Hey, Saguache County, I have mushrooms. I'm driving through. I dare you to pull me over again."
I would love to say that too, but my van's transmission says no. That's rather
Different logistical challenges. Yeah, well, so Sunday, we do really want to get back Sunday. We don't want to spend too much time away from Gardenia. We got a lot of people coming to
Oh,
visit
Chaco.
in the next couple weeks. Chaco Canyon Friday, and then Blood with Vitalent on Saturday in Denver.
And then
If you want to come hang out, I guess we'll post. If you follow me on Twitter or Telegram, tell it t.me/Adam versus Amanda, or Twitter at Adam Kokesh. We will be posting these things as they're happening over the weekend. But if someone wants to hang out while we're giving blood, although you can't like really do that. I guess I'm giving blood at 12:30,
Okay.
and then the event's at 6.
Keep
You guys
your
are gonna
eye
be
on Adam's Twitter
but
page and ask
go
him any
give blood.
questions there.
Go give blood. It's a really critical time, and I know this sounds kind of like a virtue signaling thing, but yeah, it needs to be promoted right now. You're gonna have to put on a mask.
Wait,
to
can
go
we
give
get blood? How long is it?
You don't. Yeah, we're getting reminders. And no, I booked the appointment, which means the system says enough time has passed. Yeah. So, then Sunday driving back, we're gonna go the boring way to avoid Saguache County, right? We're gonna
I
go.
don't find it boring at all.
Well, no,
And
no, no,
let's
no, no.
not share our roots.
Hold on,
On
southern
the show. Thanks.
Colorado and northern New Mexico are the boring parts of that area for the drive, and if we
I
go,
don't find
but it's usually the fastest ways. You go south on the 25
it boring.
by Santa Fe to Albuquerque, turn west in
Right,
Albuquerque,
cool.
whatever.
Figure it out.
Albuquerque, I can't.
Just tell everybody where to find our GPS tracking coordinates while we're on the road.
But no, I say this because we might be able to make some special stops, Santa Fe, Albuquerque, and gosh, now what's the city on the not
Where are we
Farmington?
stopping? We're in and out.
Yeah, we're pretty much driving back Sunday,
Right.
but we're going through New Mexico Sunday. We could take the mountain pass.
Yeah. Or
They won't know our route. We're gonna send out 3 secret ones, and all right. Avoid the state. Live free. Anything else, dear? No. We're over time.
Not judge.
Thank you. Mwah, peace and love, y'all. Choose happiness. Be excellent to each other.